Good evening, everyone. Good evening. Happy Friday night. Happy Fediversary. Happy Janteenth, whatever you like to call it. Happy Insurrection Day. Yes. Oh. Yes, Toothless. To commemorate this tragic event and the assault on democracy, we're going to give the Ukrainians $400 billion more dollars. Double late? No, I was only late once. Oh. Let's get tossed. It's Friday night, brother. We can do that tonight. Definitely. Oh. So it's Crying Shame. Hello. TN. Hello. Mike, how are you doing? I guess since it's time to start, let's get started. Yes, technically 24 hours early. Yes. Yeah, I fixed that. Jeez. Oh my gosh, you guys. So we got a lot to talk about tonight. Should be kind of fun. Should be fun. See if we can get this to open up. All right. Yeah. So there's a couple different things out there that are kind of good, kind of interesting. And let's see. Sorry. Try to get a couple more things loaded up real quick. Oh gosh, this internet is killing me today. Hold on, is this thing working? Let me. Perfect. All right. Anyways, hello everybody. Hello. Stephen Cooper for $5. Thank you for the super chat. I appreciate it. Aloha and happy Fed Day. Yes. Oh, they just did Kevin 216. Oh my god. You know what? I guess we should really check that real quick to watch what's happening there because you know, I will say I give people credit for breaking the back of Kevin McCarthy and getting intense this intense ability now, having the almost parliamentary style ability to do a vote of no confidence. That is really impressive. My hat's off to them because that is not easy. And just getting these exacting things from him, which people are like, oh my gosh, I can do that. That's how you do this stuff. This is what's meant. Hold on, let's see if PBS is live. You know what? We'll just keep this in the background if it's running. Hmm. Let's just see here. Oh, fuck you, Kevin McCarthy. You turd bag.
The Honorable Hakeem Jeffries of the state of New York has received 212.
Good question, A-Dubs. Good question. Interesting information.
The Honorable Jim Jordan of the state of Ohio has received 2.
Everybody's like, yay.
The Honorable Andy Biggs of the state of Arizona has received 2.
Oh, Mandy, you sent something here. Hold on.
No member-elect Having received a majority of the votes
Hmm.
cast, a speaker has not been elected.
Womp womp.
Gentleman from North Carolina.
Ah.
Do now adjourn until noon on Monday.
Will the gentleman repeat?
Will the gentleman repeat his motion?
I move the House do now adjourn until noon Monday.
Questions on
The question is on the motion to adjourn.
All right. Well, looks like they're done. So, not gonna lie. Hey, you know what? Watching the government destroy itself, government can't work. I see no problem here. But Mandy, you're saying, did I get the Montegraph drawing? No, I did not. If you can throw it in Discord or email it to me, whatever, that'd be great. I have not seen it. So, no, I have not seen it yet. But thank you for the super chat, by the way. This is real politics. Peter's saying this is real politics, not aristocratic theater politics. Very true. You know, there are people who are trying to hold the establishment to like their word. And that I have no problem with that. I enjoy seeing it. And that's how it should be. Sadly, this is, you know, everybody in the media is like, oh my God, this is unheard of. This should happen every freaking time. This should happen every time. There should be this level of horse trading going on. Now, it's interesting. This does happen sometimes, like when Nancy Pelosi was going to become speaker. You know, AOC and the squad tried to get some power, but Nancy Pelosi crushed them. But this is what you should expect to happen. People should be forced to make concessions. There should be this horse trading going on. This is the only way you can guarantee things going forward. Now there's a rule that if Kevin McCarthy doesn't do what they want, we can call a vote of no confidence and get him removed. Bam. Why not? That's great. That is an awesome thing. I fail to see the problem here. I fail to see the problem. It's just it's good. It warms your heart. Warms your heart to see this go on. Warms your heart to see this guerrilla warfare, whether it's on the stock market or in the halls of Congress. I mean, you just can't. Hold on here. How about chat? Mandy, I'll pin it so you can see it, but the Discord is up there if you want to. When I'm in there, obviously, you'll find me in there. So I don't remember what my Discord stuff is off the top of my head. So why the fuck did they cheer for Jeffries? Well, because the Democrats are being edgy and they're like, look, we voted for a black guy. Look, see, we like colored folks. That's why they did that. So M2 is saying, howdy, how's it going? The ATF got smacked down by the Fifth. Yes, they did. En banc. The entire Fifth Circuit. So that's the good news there. Stephen Cooper saying cockles is better than the heart. Yes, yes, it could be. It can warm your cockles. It can warm your heart. Did I miss something here? Hold on, sorry, I'm just double checking. Nope, did not. I was just making sure. I thought I saw somebody say something. So Parallax saying I don't wear socks, just Vans without socks. Is that alluding to Brian Kobacker or Koberger wearing Vans when he murdered all those people? All right. Well, yes, guys, I guess we'll get started now. Enough people are here. Yes, today is January 6th. And if you guys remember 2 years ago, yeah, there was a little bit of I like to call it a little bit of a kerfuffle. You know, a lot of people decided to redress their grievances against the federal government. And a lot of people acting like this is the aftermath of Pearl Harbor times 9/11. It wasn't that bad. I mean, if we're really going to talk about things that have happened, there's been a lot of horrible things that have happened in the Capitol building. The Capitol building has been bombed before. The Weather Underground bombed the Capitol building. Yeah, did you ever know that? Were you ever told that was an assault on democracy and it was so horrible and nasty and awful? No, you were never told that. Have you ever been told that a group of Puerto Rican separatists stood up in the balcony of the House, pulled out pistols, and started shooting at congressmen back in the 1950s, 1954 to be exact? Did you ever hear about that? No, you've never heard of that. Wouldn't you agree on the scale of like, wow, like a guy wearing a buffalo hat and yeah, some issues with the electoral college, but that's pretty that's high up on the fucked up list, like actually shooting up Congress or actually bombing Congress. Like that's a lot. Like, yeah, very interesting. But they don't tell you about that. Funny, isn't it? But no, it was this. This was the horrible thing. And yet now we have people sitting in jail for 2 years under abominable conditions. I truly believe these people when they say they're getting beaten and attacked. Because it's not like, people like the same people screaming for decarceration say these guards are horrible and awful. Yet when these January 6 people sit in jail, oh, it's okay. It doesn't matter. Screw them. People have been sitting in jail for 2 years for low level offenses. Why? Because they dare challenge the government. It's unacceptable. They should be out. They shouldn't be held in jail. And now, even to this day, the DOJ is still hunting people down, arresting and charging people. And they're handing out sentences that are mind-blowing, given what they've done for other people. You could be the guy who stole the podium for Nancy Pelosi. You get 60 days in jail, where you can be one of the attorneys in New York City got caught with Molotov cocktails, like literal fucking bomb, like fire bombs, and using them. And you're going to get like 15 months, maybe. Probably more likely a year. Really? That's the difference? Like actually trying to LARP as a communist revolutionary? Like really doing it? Whereas otherwise you just come marching in with your sign and that's you're gonna get that much time? Or you're gonna be like the Q shaman, like, oh well, he had a weapon. He was carrying a spear. Is that really gonna be considered the weapon? And he got nearly 5 years. And once again, a car with a crate full of Molotov cocktails. Oh, that's okay. You're only gonna get 15 months. Where is the fucking justice in this? There is no justice. No justice at all. No justice at all. Absolutely disgusting. Absolutely disgusting. Um, a boring sandwich is the May 19th group still have ties to BLM also? Yes. AW say, didn't Obama pardon one of the Weather Underground bombers? No, that was Cuomo. He let out Chesa Boudin, the former DA for San Francisco, his dad, who was involved in an armored car robbery where they killed 2 guys because they were short on money. That's what should happen. Watcher on the web. Hey, how you doing, brother? It's good to see you here. All right, Galaxy. I'm still shaking. I know. It was an assault on democracy. Toothless 420 saying wasn't a bomb in the 80s. Yeah, maybe. I don't know. But just pointing out, there have been things like how many of you knew about those 2 things? One of those guys, Bill Ayers, is a college professor, is an esteemed person in this community in Chicago. In fact, Barack Obama launches campaign at his house. Like that's would these people say anything if a politician went to Stuart Rhodes' house and tried to do something? They'd lose their fucking minds. Bernadine Dorn and all these other scumbags getting out. Yeah, it's just nonsense. Absolute ridiculous nonsense. Marie, hola, mi numero. Not really sure what that's all about. So hope everything is well, or if it's not, I'm very sorry for your loss. Yes, people are sitting in jail for trespassing. Yes. 4 years for permitless parading. Yep. Yes, Chester Bennington's parents and upbringing aren't fascinating. Yes, they are. Yes, they are. So, um, FFS, they killed a judge in the weather. The Weather Underground did a lot of nasty stuff. The Weather Underground was like people like to talk about like terrorist groups. They were like a legitimate no shit terrorist group. The stuff they did. I mean, thankfully, 4 of them accidentally set off one of their own bombs when they were making it. So that's good instead of them sending it to a military base. But yes, they were awful. And then in the 70s, the anti war movement, there were bombings left and right all over the place. I mean, just imagine, people are talking about all the things going on. Like the news would be losing their mind trying to cover up how many bombings from the left wing are going on. Yeah. What's with this Friday shit? Yeah. Yep. Watcher on the web says, and they run the show now. Yes, they do. Peter Spiney saying Susan Rosenberg involved in the 83 bombing, sentence commuted by Clinton in 2001. Okay, that's what I thought. May have been a commutation, not necessarily a pardon, but a commutation merely just terminates what's left. It doesn't relieve them of what they did. So, Boring Sandwich says Shakur is still hiding in Cuba. Yes, he is. Yes, he is. Stabby saying, didn't one of the Weather Underground dudes mentor the leader of BLM or one of the new wave comedy groups? Probably. But more importantly, Bill Ayers was involved with Barack Obama. That's how important that guy was. Bill Ayers, his home was used by Barack Obama to like tell the Chicago elites, I'm going to run for president. Or as he might be like, my fellow Americans, my name is Barack Obama and I am running for president. However you'd say it. He said it in that guy's house. So it's a little bit more than just the leader of BLM. But those guys, yes, Patrice Cullors in her mansions, still a scumbag Marxist too. So Toothless 420 saying, even what happened during the Kavanaugh hearing is worse than January 6th. I know. He drank beer. And then you had the doctor with her like vocal fry and her therapy door and her beach friends. It was just so bad. I mean, like, yeah. Yes, it was worse. That, Brett Kavanaugh being put on the Supreme Court is worse than 9/11 as well. Just like a Team America, it was 9/11 times 9/11. Oh my gosh, what are you making it parallax? What the fuck is wrong with you two? Oh, Bogey 34. I did not see this. I'm sorry, brother. Trying to bring this up, catch up to it. McCarthy is a Fed. Well, yeah, he's an establishment government person. So yes, he is definitely he's definitely going to be a Fed. Yes. And Jim, I saw that and I want to bring it up because that is actually a video I'm working on right now with the reinstatement of the Church Commission and the oversight of the intelligence community. Working on an Operation Mockingbird video. So it's very interesting how that, went from the CIA being involved with reporters to basically becoming the reporters. A-Dubs is saying, so what you're saying is that works. Well, if you have to go off of past performance, maybe indicative of future results, sometimes I'm just saying, maybe. And Track Golfer saying, how are we supposed to handle Nancy Pelosi? I don't know. I mean, there's probably a hammer out there with her name on it somewhere. Oh. Stabby saying, I think he was talking about the protesters during the Kavanaugh hearing. I know he was, but when I was talking about just, that the evil rapist Brett Kavanaugh and the baseball tickets, who paid for all that? I mean, he is such a rapist. He drinks all the time. He drinks beer. I like beer too. I must be a rapist. I drink beer. This one's for you, Brett. still good. So, the police are a great example that terrorism works. Yeah. Kind of hard to find a lie there. Kind of hard to find the lie. So, so you guys are saying that McCarthy's been living with Frank Luntz. I mean, that guy's such a douchebag anyway. But I mean, he was, Sean Hannity's big pollster, and Sean Hannity's a douchebag and CIA hack. So there you go. That might answer a lot of things there. But yes, let's get to what happened to Ashley Babbitt's mom. So she went to go protest. And she went to go, redress her government. And, well, she got arrested for it. Where did it go? I had it up already. All right. So Ashley Babbitt was going to protest and march around. So, yeah, Michael Bird belongs in prison. Yeah, I mean, it sounds like from the reports, nobody else thought it was a legitimate shoot. So, yeah. And also that one shot sounds like he didn't mean to shoot either. But, that's what they say every other time. I mean, they use that for Aaron Dean. So, hey, what do I know? But this was if you guys did not see this is Ashley Babbitt's mom getting arrested. Now, I will say, and we'll talk about it afterwards in a second. So,
Sidewalk. That was not necessary. You're not being traffic law. You can move to the sidewalk or you'll be placed under arrest. That was not necessary. I'm not discussing it. Sidewalk. We're not discussing it. Sidewalk now or you're under arrest. It's that simple.
World-class bravery. World-class bravery from these gentlemen. I mean, look at them. Ready to protect America at the drop of a hat. World-class bravery, folks.
We're not discussing it. We're not having any discussions. The sidewalk will be placed under arrest. Go ahead. Yeah.
You're arresting Ashley Babbitt's father.
Okay, I will say in their defense, when you turn around and you put your hands like, I'm fine, I dare you to arrest me, you can't get mad when they arrest you. I mean, this right here, we're going to have real talk. When you dare the cops to arrest you and then they start to arrest you, you don't, I mean, that, how dare you? It's like, you dare them. So, don't dare them to arrest you. Keep protesting. I just, that part, I'm like, come on, guys. Come on. So.
You're gonna arrest? Oh my God.
More bravery. More bravery. I mean, to be fair, they are blocking traffic. Ooh, Steve's very fired up, boys.
We're not playing games.
Just trying to get ready.
I don't know what's going to happen to her. They killed her daughter.
You killed her daughter and you can't even let her walk.
Mhm.
That's pretty sad.
Take her walk. Come on, guys, let's go. Let's go. What's going on?
Oh my gosh.
World class bravery, folks. World class bravery.
Look at all the cops. Hanging in, Mickey. We're with you. Thank you.
We love you, Mickey.
Randy. No. You got my kid. Don't come over here. Don't.
Why did they arrest her? Why? What happened?
No, I didn't get out of the street. They blocked up our sidewalk and I didn't get out of the street. So this motherfucker laid hands on me.
Yeah, he did lay hands on her, and I did get that on camera.
He's a tough
You
guy.
guys ought to be ashamed of yourself. Corrupt people.
So it's not a check. In the street, jaywalking is not a arrestable offense. Jaywalking.
Ashley Babbitt! Ashley!
Babbitt! Ashley Babbitt!
Yes, so more and more bravery there. Yes. What did you do? What did you guys do today? Did you guys keep America safe? Did you defend the Capitol building? No, we arrested an old lady jaywalking. You know, actually, Godspeed, you know, that thin blue line, you know, sheepdogs like that is what we need right now. Yes, Aplexity says, 2 in the stunning and 1 in the brave for those cops. You know what? They're the real heroes out there. They're the real heroes. They're the first responders. In this case, first responders acting like bitches. Sir Marhouse for $4.99 says, the federal government, its consequences have been a disaster for the human race. They have greatly increased the life expectancy of those who, well, I was gonna say, is this meant to be like, joke? You got drone striked in the middle of this tweet? Yeah. Meat Candy says, I hate to take the Germs is an idiot saying 2 gold bars, Lieutenant. No, he's a captain, probably. If that's the rank. I think you're talking about the black guy with the mustache. I think he was a captain. Meat Candy says, I hate to take the side of the piece of shit feds, but I do hate when protesters block roads and impede otherwise unrelated civilians. Yes, but in DC, that's been established as acceptable conduct. I mean, hell, they wrote Black Lives Matter on a main road, and I mean, this would be acceptable for other groups, but just not here. Track Golfer says they took the bait. They did. They did take the bait. I think ultimately they're not going to charge her. But the problem is now they got caught on camera arresting her, and this is just, it's not a good look. They shouldn't have done it. They shouldn't have done it. Is Ashley Babbitt good or bad? I just think she shouldn't have been shot. Do I think she should have been in trouble probably for getting in an area she shouldn't have been? Yeah. I mean, at some point, if you're having to break a window to get into somewhere and like through a locked door, you're probably not allowed to go to that place. And sure, she should get held responsible for that. But should she have been shot? No. So, Bogey saying Getz is voting McCarthy this round. Oh, yes. Apparently they are not adjourned. It was 240 to 190 something to adjourn. So I'm going to open up my history real quick and see, are we back at it? It's still going. Nay, yeah, it's motion to adjourn. It is, yeah, looks like we're still going. So check real quick what C-SPAN's doing. We'll flip over. Oh, yeah, here we go. Look, there's Dan Crenshaw, that scumbag piece of shit. And, oh, trying to talk to Matt Getz. I hope Matt Getz is telling him to fuck off. I hope he's saying, go fuck off. Go lose your other eye. McCain sellout. Oh, so let's see what's happening. Let's hear it. Here we go. Yes, Dan Crenshaw is Eye Patch McCain. Yes, just to be a scumbag. He had to fill the gap that Power Vacuum McCain left us. Where's Trey Gowdy? I think Trey Gowdy's no longer in Congress. He retired, being a little scumbag who never got anything done except talking really big and bad in committee hearings. Andy. So. Captain Chromo says, I hope Gates is trolling and votes against McCarthy. I hope so, too. Yeah, let's see here. Critical saying, is the Bumpstock banned anymore? We're going to get to that. Technically, for right now, it is. So. That's just, that old lady counting the votes looks like she wants to die. Yeah. Yes, Mike Ellison screwed Trey Gowdy. He was trapping on 3D printing and 80% frames. Yeah.
Have all members voted?
Oh, here we go.
Does any member wish to change a vote?
Susan's got to get in there.
Off aye on no for Mr. Gates, Maliotakis, Boebert, Roy, Style, McCarthy, Burchett, Latta, Stauber, Lawler, McLean, Crane, Biggs, Good, Huizinga, Rosendale, Griffith, Kane of New Jersey, Turner, Emmer, Lunar, Duncan, Van Drew, Klein, Nunn of Iowa, Jimenez, Van Dyne, Carl, Davidson, Strong, Tenney, Bilirakis, Van Orden, Winstrup, Burgess, Wagner, Wahlberg, Johnson of South Dakota, Smirker, Mast, Scalise, Molinaro, Kamek, Guthrie, Fleischman, Rogers of Kentucky, Murphy, Rushenthaler, Langworthy, Joyce of Ohio, Kiley, Fallon, LaMalfa, Graves of Missouri.
Oh, Joyce,
Pence,
my congressman.
C. Scott Franklin, Miller Meeks, Bice, Miller of Ohio, Rogers of Washington, Obernolte, D'Esposito, and Fitzpatrick. Off no on aye for Ms. Maliotakis.
She had two cards.
Maliotakis was off aye on no.
Okay, so let's get to are we fucking or not, ladies? Let's go. Come on.
On this vote, the yeas are 155. The nays are 279. The motion is not adopted.
Now, I think whoever's in charge can
For
still
what purpose
dismiss,
does the gentleman from Arkansas
but
rise?
we're going to go for a while.
Madam Clerk, I rise to nominate Kevin as the Speaker of the House.
Oh, we're going to do this shit again. Oh, come on. Fuck you, Kevin McCarthy. Fuck you, Kevin McCarthy. So, yep. Oh, we'll get to it in a second, common lawyer. I saw your
Madam
question.
Clerk, the eyes of the world, the eyes of America are on this body right now. What America needs, what this body needs, is a lot less talk and a lot more action. And at the direction of the Republican Conference, I advance the name of Kevin McCarthy as the next Speaker of the House of the 118th Congress.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Whatever. Okay.
For what purpose does the gentleman from Minnesota rise?
Madam Clerk, I rise to say, wow.
What? Hold on. Wait. Why are you going to say wow? They've done this before over 100 times. You know, that's funny. Like, oh, we're doing it again. Yes, this is how things work. And yet, what did he just do? He nominates probably Hakeem Jeffries again. Like, wow. Go fuck yourself. Fucking Minnesotan fucking Yoders. Just ridiculous. Catching up to something, though. Sir Marhouse saying, if you didn't get that, can I interest you in a wonderful dissertation by Dr. Theodore Kaczynski? Yes, the great mathematician, about industrial society and its future. Yes, in fact, I'm actually a very big fan of his thoughts on, more importantly, industrial society and its future. You know, the ideas of technological slavery, which, if you guys have never seen this before, well, it's going to say a lot of things in here. You're going to look around and be like, whoo, he nailed it on the head. So, something to look for. You can find this on Amazon, too, by the way. It's on the potentially criminal reading list. Get you ready. Where is it also? Ian Benoit says he's a new member. Thank you so much. I appreciate your support. I really, really do. No, I do want to bring this up. Track Golfer just pointed this out to me. This is something we do need to look at. All right, because this is hilarious. And I don't know. Yes, maybe there is some notification here. Maybe there's some messaging here. But yes. Well, watching this guy nominate Kevin McCarthy. Is that subconsciously mean anything or not? I don't know. I don't know what that means. Maybe he just held his hand out. Who knows? Sam Low 6 is saying, wow, Joyce found his balls. I know. Good on him. So. So, yes, the clapping. Hey, they've got to do it. It makes them feel good about themselves. Wow, you guys chugged ahead here. I got to catch up. Also, read The Quickening by Art Bell. Yes, that's a very good book to read. Very good book to read. You get the chance, read that one. Well, is it the NWO hand signal? Yeah, but it's also, sometimes it's also until, like, if you do this, like, also means you're saying that guy's pussy. So maybe. Yeah, it's that NWO, but I mean, normally you kind of do that. Illuminati up. Or maybe he's like Jay-Z, like Hova. Toothless 420 says, if they don't clap for themselves, who will? Yes. Very true. Very, very true. So I guess we'll keep track and see what happens going forward. They're still jerking around with that, so we're gonna leave it alone. Eric Foam saying, yeah, it's the DDP hand signal from WCW. Yeah. Track Golfer says, when the last time you did that with your hands? When I wrestled, it's when you're wrestling, it's the optional start mode. You do that for optional. Although I've saw guys and knew people who, when they would do it like this. So it's like that guy, they were saying it like the other person was a pussy. But yeah, not to high school. Mandy's saying, I'm too dumb to read. I need illustrations. Okay. Computers are bad. That is the teal deer of this. Computers are bad. Sheeple Hunter says Sean still has ringworm. Hey, if your mom learns how to take a shower, I wouldn't have to worry about that. So you gotta talk to her. She don't listen to me. Mr. Squiggle says that's also a DBZ attack. Yeah, and I hate to say this. I know it's probably going to drive a lot of you away. Not a big Dragon Ball Z guy. Not a big Dragon Ball Z guy. Ag biochemistry in college, the secondhand signal you shared is it's the optional start for folk style. Yes, the tradition it's wrestling. Yes, this is the optional start method. Yes, and that is traditionally what's called folk style or Olympic style wrestling, and different from Greco-Roman and freestyle. Unsubscribe. Sorry. Sean, stop. Don't say that again. Oh. I mean, I like Vic Mignogna. He seems like a nice guy and everything. It's just, the whole Dragon Ball Z thing. Like, I get it. Like, boom, they push each other into a mountain, and then they got, fly up in the sky and do a bunch of fighting, and there's a big boom. That's pretty much like every Dragon Ball Z episode. And it's like, I'm more powerful than you are. Well, now I'm more powerful. And it just, due to like it just seemed very, very predictable. I mean, at least with Tom and Jerry or like Roadrunner, you kind of got some different things there. That's not how it goes, Sean. Yes, it is. They literally would fight. They'd fly into the side of a mountain, keep fighting. They'd fly into the ground, keep fighting. Then they'd hit in the air, and there's like a big boom. Yeah, that's pretty much that's all Dragon Ball Z right there. Of the parts I've seen of all the episodes. DBZ was cool in the 90s. Yeah, it may have been. It wasn't my thing. Uncle Light saying you're not wrong, but you shouldn't say it. You're like that Kermit. You're like the Kermit meme. First of all, lower your voice. Full Metal Alchemist. Yeah, I actually enjoyed Full Metal Alchemist. I didn't get into that until I got to college, but yes, I did. It was very nice and very good. So, oh yeah, I'm sure somebody can clip that out. I'm going to cause a freaking restorm among people, but it'll be worth it. All right, guys. Well, let's get on to the fun stuff now. Let's get to the bump stocks. All right. So, the Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals. Michael Cargill versus Merrick Garland. Yes, that. Remember Merrick Garland? That whiny little bitch. In his role as the Attorney General. Steve Dettelbach, scumbag from Ohio. Sorry for that, guys. His capacity as director of the ATF. And from appeal from the United States District Court for Western Texas. So this is before the chief judge and the rest of the Fifth Circuit. This was an en banc hearing, meaning they all decided to hear it after the initial group heard it, the initial three. And listen to all, this is everybody. Everybody heard it. Let all these people here, all these judges. Okay. So they talk about, here's their basic point. This appeal concerns a regulation promulgated by the ATF purporting to interpret federal prohibition on machine guns extending to bump stocks, which it shouldn't. A bump stock is a firearm attachment that allows a shooter to harness the natural recoil of a semi-automatic firearm to quickly re-engage a trigger after firing, enable them to shoot at an increased rate of speed. That's actually a fair definition of bump stock, I think. I mean, that's how I would describe it. I think that's a fairly neutral situation. When the ATF first considered bump stocks, they decided they were not machine guns. The ATF maintained the position over a decade, saying the same thing and kept on saying it. But eventually, the ATF reversed its position, subjecting anyone who possessed one to criminal liability. If you guys don't remember, in the aftermath of the Las Vegas shooting, which still doesn't make a whole lot of sense given how that guy removed an 800-pound window out of his hotel room, and then where are all the pictures of the brass casings from when he was shooting the place, and how did he get all these guns and ammunition up the stairs and nobody seemed to notice? You know, that's that's stuff that makes you stuff that makes your noggin jogging. Makes you go, hmm. So the ATF maintains position for a long time, but now we're getting to the fun part. Now we're getting to the guts here. So it reverses position in response to the tragic events occurred in Las Vegas, allegedly. On that day, a deranged gunman, allegedly a deranged gunman alone, allegedly, maybe, murdered dozens of innocent men and women and injured hundreds more. To carry out many of these, he had many weapons with bump stocks on him. Public pressure was tremendous. Okay. Multiple bills were introduced, and the ATF eventually published its regulations, short-circuiting legislative process. Okay. And here's the thing, and they say that Michael Cargill surrendered his, and he challenges the legality of regulation, arguing that a bump stock doesn't follow the definition of machine gun as set forth under federal law, and thus the ATF lacked authority to issue a regulation purporting to define the term as such. And there is an actual definition of machine gun under federal law. And it's in two separate spots. So the first spot you can find what the definition of a machine gun is in the National Firearms Act when it's passed as part of the Internal Revenue Code. Believe it or not, the National Firearms Act initially was meant to be tax law. Real quick, and we'll bring that up here. So if you notice, Title 26 of the United States Code is a tax law. So here it talks about, this is the initial National Firearms Act. Talks about machine guns. Machine gun means any weapon which shoots or reloads, or is designed to shoot or can be readily restored to shoot automatically more than one shot without manual reloading by a single function of the trigger. That right there. So without one pull of the trigger, can you get more than one shot? Now, how does that work if you have a double-barreled shotgun or a multi-barreled firearm that can shoot at once? Those are not considered machine guns because there's separate barrels involved. But for the most part, if you have a regular semi-automatic weapon and you can pull the trigger and more than one shot happens, well, that's considered an automatic weapon under federal law, an ATF interpretation. So, the other place you can find them is in the other place you can find it is in 18 USC 921. And now 18 United States Code is the part that covers criminal penalties for things. So this gets up to definitions, and this is the parts that work with firearms and machine guns. And if you go down here, you have to scroll down a bit of ways. You get to 24, which is the term machine gun has the same meaning given as such term in Section 5845 of the National Firearms Act. Okay, so yeah, that's how you can figure out where a machine gun is. So let's. All right, guys, hold on. I'm trying to catch up here. Let's see. Do they? Oh no, they're still voting, so we're not going to go back to that until the votes change. We're going to wait until the votes change here. We're going to get back to this though. that they lack the authority to change what the definition of machine gun is. Cargill is correct. A plain reading of statutory language paired with close consideration of the mechanics of semi-automatic firearm, which this is interesting. The judges do this because most judges are kind of technological or mechanically illiterate, especially when it comes to guns. They don't really understand them. But these judges do. Thank God. Good on them for it. A bump stock is excluded from the technical definition of machine gun. But then they come down to a point, and this is an issue here. Even if that conclusion were incorrect, the rule of lenity would still require us to interpret the statute against imposing a criminal liability. Now, the rule of lenity is what do you do when there's an ambiguous statute? Anything that's ambiguous should be construed against the government. If there's a law passed, you're being charged with it, and you can't figure something out in it, and there's an issue of what do things mean or what were things being put forward, it's meant to be construed against the state and in favor of the defendant. Why? Well, it's a rich legal tradition that penal laws are to be construed strictly. And why is that important? Well, if it's not construed strictly, how the hell do you know to comply? If it's not construed strictly and it's construed broadly, well, then you run into like, is it vague? Can I comply with it? Do I understand what's going to happen here? And if you can't expect to understand, is your conduct illegal just by reading a law? Well, how do you have any ability to know what's going on? So, anyways, the rule is founded on the tenderness of the law for the rights of individuals and on the plain principle that the power of punishment is vested in the legislator, not in the judicial department. Meaning, if the legislator wants something done, they can spell out what they want to do. It's not up to the court to decide and make something tough on somebody. If they can't figure it out, it should be construed in favor of a defendant. And that's something that, as much as I don't like Marshall for, what he's done, that's one I agree. But the rule of lenity, pretty much each one of your states has this. In Ohio, it's codified under state law. But generally, this is a principle that's held throughout America. It's a common law principle, but I don't know how much it holds weight in the rest of the Anglosphere anymore. Now, they point out that the government's regulation violates these principles because it allows the ATF, rather than Congress, to set forth the scope of the criminal prohibitions. Indeed, the government would outlaw bump stocks by administrative fiat, meaning by administrative dictate, which is what the ATF is. Well, it's legal. Why? Well, we said so. Then they get to try and say, well, no, it's not. Why? Because we said so. Even though the very same agency routinely interpreted the ban as on machine guns not applying to this at issue. Nor can they say the statutory definition unambiguously supports the government's interpretation. And as they noted above, we conclude that it unambiguously does not. Now, remember, there's some ambiguity. Is it clear? No. If it's not clear, then you don't get to do it, and you don't get to enforce that law against people. Which, that's how it should be. But even if we are wrong, the statute is at least ambiguous in this regard. And if the statute is ambiguous, Congress must cure that ambiguity, not the federal courts. And this is, this is the opposite of judicial activism. This is the court saying, this is not clear, you need to fix it. It's not the government saying what the law ought to be. This is the court doing the right thing, saying, we don't understand what the hell you wanted. What they did doesn't make any sense. What they're doing doesn't make any sense based upon what you've said. You guys need to fix this. Get back to us. Perfect. And that's how it should be. So, either way, we must reverse. And they just once again re-talk about it. The Gun Control Act of 1968, another beautiful piece of legislation meant to disenfranchise minorities in the aftermath of the Martin Luther King shooting and the shooting of Robert Kennedy, that it shall be unlawful for any person to transfer or possess a machine gun. Okay. And then they talk about, and there was a lot more to that. You could still buy and sell machine guns, but you had to have a tax stamp for it. But just having an unregistered machine gun at this point was now actually a crime. Beforehand, it wasn't. Actually, beforehand, you just had to pay your taxes and you'd be good to go. Stabby saying, catch the replay in the AM. Got to get up for work. Good night. Take care, Stabby. So, Raj saying, what kind of material is that blue shirt you're wearing? I don't know. Cotton and something else. I don't really know. I really don't know. I don't know if that's meant to be a joke or not, but no, I don't know what it's made out of. I understand. It looks like it's like glowing in the. It's like I think that's just an optical illusion. It looks pretty normal otherwise. That's just a resolution issue. So they get through here and they talk about the terms of machine gun, which we just talked about, and they go and go and go. The traditional example of machine gun is a rifle capable of automatic fire like the M16. Semi-automatic rifles like an AR-15 are not machine guns. And see Hollis v. Lynch. This was a very interesting. If you guys don't know about this case right here, this is a very interesting court case in kind of history regarding the NFA. Basically, in this case, a couple of guys a few years ago, they didn't really trick the ATF. The ATF was stupid, and they had argued that, hey, trusts are not people, therefore you can give us a Form 1 to make automatic weapons again. And the ATF actually bought the argument, and these guys made full auto AR-15s legally under the law. Well, very quickly, the ATF came to their senses and said, uh-oh, that wasn't right. You guys need to surrender those. These guys surrendered in a protest, took it all the way to the Fifth Circuit, and they lost in the Fifth Circuit. But it was a very funny story, a very interesting thing. If you go on AR15.com, some of the story is out there. And this is, I didn't get this far. To understand what a machine gun is, it's helpful to understand what a machine gun is not. Holy cow. This is a bravo to the Fifth Circuit. Oh my God. Actually, bravo to whatever law clerk is out there for putting this together. Like, brother, you did a good job. This is nice. So this is the semi-automatic firing components for an AR-15 right here. This is very well put together. And here they talk about the mechanics of what happens here, what each part does and how it works. I do think it's funny, and this is just lawyers being lawyers and being, spurgs. We spell machine gun as being one word because that is how Congress has defined the term in the statutes at issue. So yes, instead of doing machine-gun or a machine gun, they do it as one word. But I love how they make that an issue. And they go through here talking about the disconnector and the firing process. Okay. And I mean, oh, this is nice. Jordan Bowles, if you guys don't know him, he created the Yankee Boogle, which is a very neat drop-in full auto series. You can 3D print. Shh, you didn't hear that from me. But no, he's a very talented designer in his own right and engineer. But yes, this is really cool. They do all this. And they go through and they talk about the mechanics. I'm very impressed. And they show the differences, including what includes a full auto firearm. Now they talk about what a bump stock is. So let me see here. Mof, have you seen the filing where the DOJ in California has to admit that gun laws are racist? Yes, I have. It is hilarious. It is hilarious. So, Sir Marhaus saying, I know of a guy who made sawed-off shotties for the feds once. Was it a story from long ago, way up in a mountain in Idaho? In Idaho, where he was free, till he sold a shot-off shotgun to a deputy. Is it that same guy we're talking about? Oh. So, actually, let's get back to it. So they talk about how the bump stock works, and it's a sliding shoulder stock molded to its grip, and a trigger ledge where the shooter places their finger, and a detachable rectangular receiver that goes into the receiver well. The bump stock's handle to guide the recoil of the weapon when fired. To begin firing, the shooter presses the firearm's forebody to bump into the trigger finger, And then, yes, they explain how the gun rides back and forth on the trigger finger. And by maintaining forward pressure, you're basically pulling the gun forward to fire. And the firing process may be viewed as follows. And this is actually an AK bump stock. So it is this figure is a stationary image. And this is a graphic, and this is a very good, they've done a very good job of displaying their actions here. But the shooter must apply forward pressure to the weapon's forebody in order to maintain the shooting mechanism. Again, the manual input remains even though its form changes. And that's the thing here the court acknowledges. It makes the process of firing faster and easier, but the mechanics remain the same. The firing of each and every round requires an intervening function of the trigger. This doesn't alter the form of the manual input the user must provide. It's just the speed. So once again, why did bump stocks get banned? Because they shoot too fast. Well, if I'm Jerry Michalek and I shoot really fast, how fast is too fast? Because that's what it turned into. Well, that's too fast. That was the only reason why bump stocks got in trouble. Because with a good bump stock in practice, you could get up to decent, 1,000 rounds a minute rates of fire with weapons. And, that was basically a way to make a poor man's saw. Get a 100-round Betamax or a 100-round magazine inside an AR-15, and you've got a light support weapon. Without a bump stock, the use of an alternative bump technique, the user must provide manual input by pulling the trigger with the muscles of the trigger finger. So yeah, they're pointing out it doesn't change anything; it just changes the speed. So there is one distinction. Some bump stocks called mechanical bump stocks are equipped with springs or internal mechanisms that automatically assist the shooter to engage in bump firing. For such a bump stock, the shooter does not have to maintain pressure on the barrel and trigger in order to maintain this firing sequence. Only non-mechanical bump stocks are at issue here. Now, what are mechanical bump stocks? If you guys are unaware, they have springs or other things in there. Those are no-goes. The ATF is going to go after them. Also, there was a famous case back in the early 2000s called the Atkins Accelerator. Was kind of like a proto bump stock, but it had springs in it, allowing the gun to reset, and the ATF considered that a machine gun. So, yeah, if you're going to have springs or anything in there, you can't do it. Now, so if you guys have never seen a bump stock before, it is literally just a plastic shell. It's a hollow piece of plastic. There is nothing inside of it. So it's very impressive. That's all it does. And they talk about the history of bump stocks, and historically the ATF said they're not a machine gun. And they go back through and they show all the in 2006 mechanical bump stocks are categorized as a machine gun. Mechanical ones were, and this is where they talk about an internal spring to harness the focus of firearm's recoil so that the firearm shoots more than one shot, single pull, it triggers a machine gun. The ATF has maintained that categorization, and it's true. If you try to make a bump stock and you submit it to the ATF for approval, they will deny it if it's mechanical. But from the time the ATF first considered non-mechanical bump stocks in 2017, it always said it's not a machine gun. In that time, the Firearms Technology Branch, that is the part of the ATF that makes determinations. Is this a machine gun? Is it not a machine gun? Is this a short-barreled rifle? Is it a short-barreled shotgun? Is this a destructive device? You can actually write them for opinions, and they will give you an opinion based upon a hypothetical, which there's famously Matt LaRosiere did one about if I hook can I use a fleshlight as a stock and shoot firearms with it? He's done things like that. But they also address multiple issues regarding if you submit a gun, does this count as a machine gun? Is this type of firing mode a machine gun, or is it legal? And the ATF has made rulings on those. In addition to bump stocks, shoulder braces are something the Firearms Technology Branch has made rulings on. And they issue dozens of classification letters regarding this, each time arriving at the same conclusion. Now, the ATF and the DOJ have routinely claimed these letters are not binding, which then how the hell are you supposed to govern yourself if these letters aren't binding or have any legal weight? Ag Biochemist is saying, Yes, your gene loop is a perfect bump stock. That is the old school way of doing it. Yes. Necromancer saying it was Benjamin Blatt, but I could be wrong. It might be Benjamin Blatt. I forget, but one of those two had sent in, if I use a fleshlight, how does that work? um, so Pope Brackets saying, you saw the illicit shield. Yes. At one point, the ATF there. Well, we'll get to that pic. You know what? Here, hold on. All right, we'll do this now. Okay. So this is not a joke. This is actually something the ATF had to deal with. If you see this picture here, this is of a rifle, which this is the operating rod up here and the operating handle. And then this is a string woven through around the trigger. Now, the idea is if you pull the trigger, by the time it gets back into battery, that'll pull the trigger and it'll cycle the gun, gets back in the battery, pulls the trigger, it'll cycle the gun. Basically, the idea is this would create a machine gun. Now, what happened? The ATF actually, when they determined whether or not this string here itself was a machine gun. I shit you not. I shit you not. Shalomang. No, we have not discussed Mexico yet. We're getting there. We're getting there. We'll be there in a second. So they talk about, and they actually had to discuss whether or not this was a machine gun. And they actually write in the letter, we had to determine whether or not this is a machine gun, and they go through their deliberative process. So that is a legitimate thing, and that is in part of the ATF's lore, if you want to call it the lore, but it is. And they released a letter, and this is an example of the text out of a letter here. And this says, your letter advises that the stock is intended to assist persons who have limited mobility, bump fire an AR-15 rifle. That may have been the original purpose, but other people can use it. The stock has no automatically functioning mechanical parts or springs, or no automatic device when installed. Because there's no device and you're applying constant forward pressures, we find a bump stock as a firearm part and not regulated as a firearm under the Gun Control Act or the National Firearms Act. And then they point out, however, because something very bad happened, everybody got all scared and somebody had to do something. And somebody did something. While Congress is debating its bills, the ATF published a notice that it was going to publish a rule changing everything. And basically go back on over 15 years of saying, no, it's not a firearm. So they go through it, they talk about what happens here, and let's get to actually where they talk about what the ATF did. So Michael Cargill had his 2 bump stocks. He surrendered them after the ATF passed its rule and implemented it. He sued the ATF, bringing claims on the Administrative Procedures Act. First, he contends the ATF lacked authority to promulgate the rule because the interpretation of machine gun is ambiguous. Yes. And even if the statute is ambiguous, it should be construed in his favor because of the rule of lenity. Okay, we agree. And because the statute concerns criminal penalties, the government's interpretation is not entitled to deference under Chevron. Now, Chevron is the idea that if the government makes a regulation, that the executive branch is going to be given deference and that they made that regulation properly, the executive agency. There is an issue, though, when that statute concerns criminal penalties. And under the ATF's ruling here, you owning that bump stock is no different than if I sat in the garage and drilled a 3rd hole in the receiver in my AR-15 or made a hole of doom in an AK-47. It's considered a machine gun, no different than a belt-fed machine gun. So you could face up to 10 years in prison and a $250,000 fine. So it's a little bit different than the government just saying, if you're running a mining company, you have to do X, Y, and Z to make sure you don't kill the North American ring-tailed doofus as part of an EPA operation. So after a 1-day bench trial, the court ruled in favor of the government. Imagine that, guys. The government supported the government. It didn't apply Chevron, but determined the government's reading of machine gun is the best reading of the relevant statute. Okay. A panel of this court affirmed that, saying the final rule's interpretation of machine gun is the best reading of the statute, and declined to reach Chevron or non-delegation questions. Okay. But they granted the hearing on bonk. And actually, let's real quick see what's going on with. Oh, they're still going. McCarthy 171, Jeffries 159. Still not there though. Yes, but string gun. Resto Town says cats play with machine guns all the time. Yes, they do. Yes, they do. Oh, why did I go out? Have I seen the Firearms Unknown channel that trolls the ATF cartoon videos? No, I have not. I have not. All three-letter entities need to be demolished. Yes, they do. Or abolished. Yes. Wouldn't be a bad idea. So let's just keep going here. We're going to get into this. The court's doing a great job here. Yes, J-Rock, they're still voting. Well, they are going to give it one more go tonight, it sounds like. Now, this is the part here where 3 of the sister circuits have ruled the preliminary injunction motions relating to the final rule. And that's true. And they talk about here a divided DC circuit panel determined the rules ambiguous, but applied Chevron deference to the government. Okay. So the DC circuit already said, don't care, the ATF's okay. In another divided opinion, the 10th Circuit reached the same conclusion as the DC Circuit. The final rule was ambiguous and entitled to Chevron deference. Okay. And then it ended up going a bonk, but it still ended up getting upheld. Finally, in another divided opinion, a 6th Circuit panel ruled, and that sucks because that's where I live, in the 6th Circuit, against the government declining, declining to apply the Chevron deference and holding the statutory definition of machine gun does not include bump stocks. Okay, great. Except the court then granted rehearing on bonk, and an evenly divided court affirmed the district court's denial of the preliminary injunction. Well, if the court's evenly divided, just like the Supreme Court, if there's an even split, it goes back to the prior ruling, and they don't overturn it. So the prior ruling stayed in effect once they got to the bonk hearing. In addition to these circuit court decisions, the Navy Marine Corps Court of Criminal Appeals, which is a real court, and that is one of the armed forces courts. It's the way the armed forces do things is it's kind of interesting. Consider the final rule of context of a criminal prosecution for possession of a machine gun. That court determined that under the best reading of the statutory language, a bump stock's not a machine gun, but they ultimately found the statute is ambiguous and applied the rule of lenity to construe the statute against imposing criminal liability, and it dismissed the charge for possession of the machine gun. So, and that's the thing here. If you guys don't know this, the military courts of appeals are actually really good. They are, and this is something if you go in law school, you learn that, especially when it comes to like your protections and rights under the law. The UCMJ for a long time afforded you more rights than you had under constitutional law frameworks going through the 50s, 60s, 70s, and 80s. The government, the military is very big on protecting those rights for its members. So it is very interesting. But yes, they do release a lot of decisions. And I know Kurt talked about the one with the guy having his sex doll. But yes, the military courts of appeals, the military justice system is actually pretty good overall. So they do release in the courts. A lot can be drawn from them. But yes, this guy, he won. So they say our primary task is to interpret the meaning of machine gun as defined under the NFA. Okay. Of course, the government responds to its own interpretation expressed in the final rule. And they say, well, ordinarily that actually would invoke the Chevron framework. Okay. But as they recently summarized, at step 1, we asked whether Congress has directly spoken to the precise issue of question, in which case must give the unambiguously expressed intent of Congress and reverses an agency interpretation that fails to conform to text. Okay. But here, the government has declined to invoke Chevron in any of the lawsuits challenging the final rule. Nonetheless, several circuits have applied Chevron deference that challenges the final rule, and so we will consider Chevron's applicability below, which is interesting. And that's something I did not know, that explicitly the government never said, hey, Chevron defense. Courts threw that in on their own. And that's, if the court determines that there is a proper way to make a ruling, they will consider it. So they might say, look, you guys are wrong. This is actually a more important way of handling it, even if neither side brings it up. Harris Riley saying, are we going to talk about the apartment shooting we talked about last night? Harris, I need you to, can you email it to me? Because I couldn't find it, and I was trying to get ahead earlier to find it. So I'm sorry. If you can email it to me. Pope Rack saying, check locals. I put a 1-minute video there. Please don't tell me it's like a cock or something like that, please. Patrick Bateman saying, you are a plethora of information, dude. How do you have so much time to do all of this research after working all day? Amazing. Thank you. I like doing this. It's fun. It's fun. And, it also helps today's Friday. And it just, I had a hearing first thing this morning. The other guy got yelled at. I didn't get yelled at. So life started good. And then, things got better overall as the day went. So it wasn't too bad. Sean is Fuma Ninja. I'm going to boomer myself and then I don't know. Kind of lost there. So let's, we're just going to keep going for a second here. Actually, hold on. Let's see. Where are we at? McCarthy 202, Jeffries 204, Present 5. God, if Jeffries gets it, I'm going to fucking laugh. But all right, we're going to keep going. We're going to keep going. Fuck those guys in Congress. Fuck them. They aren't our friends. But I love this. This is great. But before we do any of that, hey, before we actually get to Chevron, we determine the statutes meaning traditional statutory interpretation tools. That is the old-fashioned way. Isn't that great? How are you going to do this? The way we used to do it. So. Oh, Jim, you got a link with that video? Oh, hold on here. Let me see if I can pull that up. All right, we'll see if we'll bring that up in a second. So, Sheeple saying, can we actually use bump stocks now or not? No. The district court in Texas denied it. So it got appealed. Well, you're going to see what's going to happen now. So it's not yet. And only in the Fifth Circuit. So hold your horses. Hold your horses. And then you get to the point of, if the statute's unambiguous, it doesn't matter if Chevron applies, which is correct. So the first phrase we consider is by a single function of the trigger at the time the statute was passed. Function meant action. Okay. Relevant question is whether a semi-automatic rifle equipped with a non-mechanical bump stock fires more than one shot each time the trigger acts. It does not. And they talk about going through all of this here. And they point out, to be sure, it increases the rate of fire, but the fact remains only one bullet is fired each time the shooter pulls the trigger. So, the government tries to claim that the single function of the trigger means a pull of the trigger in the analogous movements. They're claiming that functions mean pull. But they also point out that without a bump stock, the trigger activates because the shooter flexes his or her finger. With a bump stop, the trigger activates because the recoil of the previous shot re-engages the trigger. and the shooter's maintained force causes the gun to bump against his finger. They claim that is a distinction without a difference. The end result in both cases is that the trigger is pulled. And this is borrowing heavily from this DC Circuit case in the dissent. Okay, here, and it's very good. It's very well written. I like this. This is very technical, but it's not like all. It's not getting all sweaty. It's not getting all gun shop sweaty, which is good because regular people have to be able to read this. They say even if single function meant single pull, the definition would not include a non-mechanical bump stock. Moreover, even though pulling the trigger can sometimes begin the bump firing sequence, the process is more typically begun by pushing forward on the forebody of the firearm. And that's true. Like I said, you're generally pushing forward and holding it there and letting the gun rock against your finger. For several of our sister circuits, however, the plain language is not so plain. And this is where the court's going to start fighting with the courts start talking shit to each other. So, and they point out that the other circuits go along with this argument about the function and pull being more than one thing. And they point out the interpretation is based on words that don't exist in the statute. The statute uses single function of the trigger, not single function of the shooter's trigger finger. The Navy Marine Corps Court of Appeals case likewise refused to read words into the statute. The statute does not say by a single function of the trigger finger, nor does it say by a single pull of the trigger finger in addition to external pressure from the shooter's non-firing hand. And they're pointing out that it doesn't say all these things. Had Congress wanted to use the phrase by a single pull of the trigger for machine guns, it could have, but it did not. And once again, this is where they say Congress can put together whatever type of law they want. Now, whether or not that law is legal is a separate matter, but if Congress wants to put it in there, it's their job. And if they don't do that, that's not for the ATF to fill in the gap. It's Congress's job. So reading that, it says what it says. And I think, obviously they're correct here. We agree. The statutory definition utilizes grammatical construction that ties the definition of movement of the trigger itself and not the movement of a trigger finger. And that's the point. A single pull of the trigger. Not what your trigger finger is doing, but what the trigger itself is doing. Because the gun itself is the machine gun. Otherwise, I think there'd be an argument. My hand is now part of a machine gun. If my hand operating it turns it into a machine gun. And I made that argument before that the government's going to say, well, the trigger, it's not all of it, but it's what you're doing makes it a machine gun. Well, that means I'm a machine gun then, which makes no sense. Nor do we rely on grammar alone. The context firmly corroborates what grammar initially suggested by demonstrating that Congress knew how to write a definition that is key to the movement of the trigger finger if it wanted to, but it did not. So, yes, this is not something that Congress couldn't figure out. They understood what they're dealing with. And am I boomer? Because I don't see people talking. Okay, you guys are still there. You guys are alive. Good. William's saying you can do whatever you want, just don't get caught. Pope Rack is saying, why no locals chat? Why I didn't have the time tonight. I am very sorry. I apologize to your mother and yourself. It just I kind of ran out of time. Eric Foams is saying, so if I loaded springs to the butt of my AR-15, I'm all good, right? Oof. That'd be kind of rough. Oh, McCarthy got it. Yeah. Oh, crap. Well, it sounds like he was held to it. I guess we'll switch over for right now. Let's watch the screwing over of America further. Let's see what happens. We're arguing for earlier. Oh, I'm sure. I'm gonna fuck over the American people. So, I'm just so funny.
There are no rules yet, baby.
I'll set it up real quick while we get a second. No. Nothing of substance will gain 100%. Also, Rackets, there's a Pope Rackets. There is a locals chat now.
The tellers agree in their tallies that the total number of votes cast is 428, of which the Honorable Kevin McCarthy of the state of California has received 216.
Well, that's it. So he
The
won.
Honorable Hakeem Jeffries of the state of New York has received 212.
Yeah. Who cares? Who cares? Yeah. Oh well. So why is Elise Stefanik so thrilled? Because she hitched her wagon up to him, and she's probably got some, decent, committee jobs once this gets going. Yep, a name of some sort's correct. Yes, now, yay, Ukraine can get more money. For some reason. I'm not sure what and where it's going to get funneled. Busted Knuckles says I would have nominated Sam Hyde. Yes, I would have. The great honorable Samuel Hyde, because remember, anybody can become speaker. So it's the interesting part of it. You don't have to be a member of Congress to be speaker. And Dovell saying you're not on Rumble. I need background play. I'm sorry. Rumble's been giving me all sorts of fucking problems trying to get it set up to run. I'm gonna keep trying. It's just I was kind of in fuck it mode today, so I didn't include it. But I will work on that. So I'll figure out what's not going right and work with Rumble to figure that out. So Cat Mattis is saying there were at least 5 that still held out. MTG and Stefanik are getting some of that Daddy McCarthy money. Of course they are. Yep. Me Candy saying stop pushing Rumble and move to Odyssey, people. It's so much better. No, I go to Odyssey as well. I go to Odyssey. I stream. My stuff goes up on Odyssey. I just know with Odyssey, there's an issue with like a 2-hour limit on things. It doesn't seem to put my videos up that go longer than 2 hours. So that's the only issue I have with Odyssey. For me, it's something I need to figure out. So let's get back to the bump stocks real quick. We're going to fly through these and just get to the end parts here. And they just point out, this is grammatical. Like, this is just, the Fifth Circuit saying, like, water, Helen, water. Read, Helen, read. And, the government's going, no. So they just point out that they keep going. So we do not stop at the grammar. With statutes, context is a primary determinant of meaning. Um, by the great Antonin Scalia. You may remember this guy from such great hits. And then Brian Garner, who is a professor at the University of Texas, I believe, very famous, very prominent in the writing and legal writing and interpretation fields. In context, confirm the statute must be read from the mechanical perspective. Um, specifically, context tells us Congress knew how to write a definition that explicitly turns to the action of a shooter rather than the action of a trigger, but chose not to do so. And that's correct. So Congress termed rifle to mean a weapon designed to use energy of the explosive in a fixed cartridge only to fire a single projectile through a rifled bore for each single pull of the trigger. They talk about how they define shotguns, which under the National Firearms Act, rifle, shotgun, pistol are all defined. All kinds of stuff defined in there. So the government says that straightforward determinations defy common sense. Well, that's because they're the government. They might argue that they can argue that, hey, maybe Congress didn't choose the right words, but you know what? Too bad, so sad. Congress can fix it now. The government's only problem is that Congress did not use words describing the shooter's perspective, weapons, rate of fire. Okay, well, Congress has to fix that. So, prudent or not, Congress defined the term by referring to the trigger mechanics, and they're bound to apply that definition. Once again, they're telling them, look, go get it fixed. It's not our job to argue here. Now, they argue that there's a different case that can get involved here. And it's United States v. Camp, which is far different here. In that case, the guy modified a semi-automatic weapon, building a switch behind the original trigger that when pulled supplied electrical power to a motor connected to the bottom of a fishing reel that had been placed inside the weapon's trigger guard. And that motor caused the reel to rotate, and that rotation caused the original trigger to function in rapid succession. Basically, he made a mechanical trigger that would just... Okay, and they held that weapon was a machine gun, even though the gun's original trigger activated each time a bullet was fired. They argued that was such because they modified the gun to create a new trigger. And they go back through their case law that they have. And I remember reading through about Jokel, and I actually have read Camp before when I was in law school. A trigger is just the mechanism used to initiate the sequence. The mechanism used to initiate the sequence in Camp was the news switch. That switch operated by a single function, and so the firearm met the statutory definition of a machine gun. So yes, by their argument, the function of turning it on, boom, 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 boom. Okay. The bump stock, you're still pulling the trigger. Nobody cites Camp for the proposition the legally relevant triggers anything than a traditional trigger. A non-mechanical bump stock allows the shooter to fire at an increased rate by harnessing the natural recoil. It doesn't do anything else. And remember, they go back to this and they say, look, if we were doing a mechanical bump stock, it might be different. And once again, the ATF's already said those are machine guns. So they just go back through and they touch on that. And they go back through even a non-mechanical bump stocks operate. The rifle would still need to operate automatically to be a machine gun. And they go through the definition that automatically means self-acting. Okay, well, the gun's not acting on its own. You're helping it act. So they just keep going. They keep going here. And this is brutal. Holy Jesus. Once again, they cite from the Army or the Navy Marine Corps Court of Appeals here. They point out that the holding of a trigger in an automatic weapon with the holding of a trigger in the forward motion of a semi-automatic weapon with a bump stock is not the same. That there's the former shooting automatically by a single function of the trigger, while the latter is relying on an additional human action beyond the pulling of the trigger. So they point out it's two actions by the person. They reiterate a shooter can fire an ordinary rifle even without a bump stock. And even then, with the bump stock on, you can still fire it semi-automatic. You don't actually have to use, like, the bump stock does not automatically mean the gun will fire that way. Um, as Cargill claims, and this is something that's true, if ordinary bump firing constituted automatic fire, the rule would convert a semi-automatic weapon to a machine gun simply by how a marksman used the weapon. That absurd revolt reveals the flaws in the government's line of reasoning. And ban sentient guns. Davel, so you can make an automatic trigger with rubber band. Yes, you can. Harris Riley saying, would a fully automatic coil gun be a machine gun because it doesn't use explosive propellant? If you're talking about like Half-Life style, like Gauss rifles and like in Elysium, you've got one of those like chemrail guns where they're using them. Yeah, the ATF is immediately going to get involved and ban those. They would have to come up with a new definition, but the big issue is you have to get beyond, the self-contained metallic cartridge and explosive propellant. Now, if you can get to the area of, magnetically induced, firing and propulsion, then yeah, that's going to be an issue. But heck, the Navy, they can't even make that work on a boat for a ship. So I think we're a long way from that. I do know that like Ian on Forgotten Weapons has talked about that arc gun that shoots out the little metal balls or the little metal disc, but we're a long way from putting holes in things with hypervelocity weapons. And if you guys, I did want to bring this up. If you don't, the reason why they bring up that issue with the bump stocks is otherwise to bump fire weapon, you would take the weapon, you put it through one of your belt, your thumb through a belt loop and weave the trigger through, and you would just pull forward on the gun and you would shoot. That's the way bump firing used to occur. And that means literally how you use the weapon determines what it's classified as, which by that logic, if I own a machine gun, but I never shoot it in full automatic, then I actually don't possess a machine gun. I'm only possessing a semi-automatic weapon. And the government would never agree to that. If you make a machine gun, they consider it a machine gun at all times. So this is where the government starts talking itself into circles. Mandy saying, good night. All right, well, have a nice night, Mandy. Yeah, EM guns are a long way away. Oh, the porn bots are here, but hey, that's always good. We're gonna where the heck are we going here? Rather the meaningful difference that with non-mechanical bump stops, bunk firing is easier and can occur at a faster rate. That is a distinction Congress certainly could have addressed in the NFA and Gun Control Act, but Congress did not prohibit machine guns according to how quickly they fire. It prohibited machine guns according to the way they fire. Once again, this is an issue. The definition of machine gun is not, oh, it's scary and it fires fast. It's doesn't meet the mechanical definition. So they keep going, and they keep arguing about, then they finally get to Chevron. So first of all, they point out Chevron doesn't apply because the government didn't ask them to apply it. So, and that's fair. If you're not asking for us to use this defense, we're not going to apply this defense. And generally, courts will not apply a defense for you if you don't bring it up. When they point out when a party chooses not to pursue a legal theory potentially available to it, we generally take the view that it's inappropriate to pursue that a theory in our opinions. And that's generally the case. But there are circuits that claim Chevron can't be waived. And the court in the Fifth Circuit says we've never held that Chevron must be raised for the government in order to apply it. But the conclusion is obvious and flows from well-settled waiver principles. And after all, the court should defer to the government's express interpretation is just a legal argument, and a party waives a legal argument fails to argument when presented with the opportunity. So, and that's fair. They shouldn't get it. They should not get it. So they also talk about that would contradict Chevron's central justification to defer to government interpretation without them doing so. Well, if the government does want you to defer to its authority, you should. But if the government's not asking you to, then you shouldn't defer if they're not asking for it. Policy choices should be left to the executive branch officials. So they're saying, well, even if we can, they didn't ask us to, so we can't do it. Let's get to the second one. The Chevron framework does not apply for a second independent reason. The final rule imposes criminal penalties. As noted above, Chevron allows the executive policy, the branch, to make policy decisions through the crude expertise of administrative agencies. But in exchange, Chevron deference lifts the responsibility for lawmaking from Congress to the executive, at least in part. That trade-off cannot be justified for criminal statutes in which the public's entitlement to clarity of the law is at its highest. And once again, that's the rule of lenity. You are entitled to know whether or not your conduct is illegal by reading the law. Can you determine on its face, can I do X, Y, and Z? The government does not make it clear that you should not be held responsible for your conduct. And you have the right to know what your laws are. And this is Justice Gorsuch respecting a denial of writ of certiorari for one of the cases, says, before courts may send people to prison, we owe them an independent determination that the law actually forbids their conduct. And that's pretty important. I mean, I love how that's worded. Before you send people to prison, there should be an independent determination the law actually forbid their conduct. Now, they also point out that the Supreme Court has never held the government's reading of a criminal statute is entitled to any deference. The Supreme Court has expressly instructed us not to apply Chevron when it's seeking deference on interpretation of a criminal statute. And that is because the criminal laws are for the courts and not for the government to construe. Once again, the government doesn't get to decide how fast and loose it gets to play with the rules. The court decides what the law is and isn't ambiguous or not. It decides whether or not there's conduct here that you would be on notice for. Because otherwise, the government will always win that argument. You know, for when the government interprets a statute too broadly or narrowly, a court has an obligation to correct its error. And that's true. If the government decides this conduct is wrong, but it turns out actually it's outside the statute, the courts have the obligation to fix that. We can't just say, oh, well, you know what? They think it's right. It's good enough. It has to be stopped. So that is the issue. The government seeks to define the scope of activities that subject the public to criminal penalties. You can't apply Chevron. And that's 100% I agree with here. And they go back through and they talk about the precedent here of what's going on. And then finally they finally get to the third reason why Chevron doesn't apply. The ATF adopted an interpretive position that is inconsistent with its prior position. Now, this is hilarious. And why is this hilarious? Well, I guess if you guys aren't familiar with the ATF, you're like, come here. We got to talk real quick. With the ATF, this idea that they adopt interpretive positions that are inconsistent with prior positions. Just right here, you and me. It's just us. It's just us on the wall, baby. They do that all the goddamn time. And they've done it forever. And they've done it on multiple things. For example, shoulder braces. They've done this a bunch of times. They've gone back and forth. But the ATF's definitions, the ATF's motto should be arbitrary and capricious. Because they have no rhyme or reason when they make these rulings. Dark Lotus saying the ATF is asshole. Very much so. The ATF is asshole. The biggest asshole. So, To apply Chevron here would contravene one of the rule's central purposes to promote fair notice to those subject to criminal laws. Yes, you've been told forever and ever it's legal. Wait, now it's not. If we were required to defer to the government's position, the government could change the scope of criminal liability at any time, which the ATF does routinely. The ATF has done throughout its history. The ATF has ruled, for example, various guns. Actually, we changed our mind. That's contraband. That's a destructive device. For example, street sweepers, the Striker 12 shotguns. Can't own them anymore. The USAS 12s can't own them anymore. They've gone through and confiscated weapons and forced people to surrender them, saying, sorry, that doesn't count anymore. Why? Oh, we changed our mind. Deal with it. Indeed, that's exactly what has been done here. Until 2017, the ATF never classified these as machine guns, but now the interpretation is reversed, and the government would criminalize behavior it long recognized as lawful. In considering one of the other cases involving the regulation, one Supreme Court member explained the problem as such. The agency used to tell people they don't qualify as machine guns. Now they say it's the opposite. The law hasn't changed, only the agency's interpretation of it. How in all this can an ordinary citizen be expected to keep up? And why should courts charged with independent and neutral interpretation laws of Congress has enacted defer to such bureaucratic pirouetting? Once again, Justice Gorsuch. So if we get stuff in front of the Supreme Court, you know which way Justice Gorsuch is going to roll. On the statement respecting the denial of certiorari. So this guy went from the D.C. Circuit, applied for cert, he got shot down. This is all kind of shadow docket stuff. Gorsuch wrote an opinion saying this is bullshit. How are you supposed to comply? When an agency plays pinball with a statute's interpretation, as the ATF has here, fair notice cannot be said to exist. And this is from the D.C. Circuit with the dissenting judge. Okay. The ATF's interpretation of machine gun gives anything but fair warning. Instead, it does a about face at almost 11 years treatment of a non-mechanical bump stock as not constituting a machine gun. The concern respecting consistency of regulations is nothing new. The Supreme Court says that an agency's interpretation that conflicts with the earlier interpretation is considered less deference than a consistently held view. Okay. The concern's only magnified, whereas here the government's interpretation of the underlying statute carries massive implications of criminal liability. So again, possessing an unregistered machine gun is a big-time offense you don't want to do. As such, Chevron does not apply because the government has construed the same statute in two inconsistent ways at different points in time. And then they get to turning the rule of lenity. And we conclude the rule of lenity applies if the statute is ambiguous. Well, that's kind of like a no shit part. There are two standards for the rule of lenity. One standard is whether there's a reasonable doubt as to statute's meaning. Okay. The other inquires whether there's a grievous ambiguity in the statute. All right. The Supreme Court does not appear to decide which of these standards governs the rule of lenity. Okay. Well, but I think the more proper one is the grievous ambiguity in the statute itself. Whether, this idea, whether there's a reasonable doubt as to statute's meaning, no, it's whether or not you can read it and then whether or not it's ambiguous. So they point out here it doesn't matter because the rule of lenity applies even under the more stringent condition. The one formulation that standard provides that if a court cannot discern the statute's meaning, even after seizing everything from which aid can be derived, meaning, minutes of a hearing, definitions, language, looking at other statutes, that's the issue of determining the meaning of a statute. Okay. Assuming the statute here is ambiguous, we can only guess at its definitive meaning. We've availed ourselves of all traditional tools of statutory construction. In this circumstance, they prevail to find meaningful guidance. That is sufficient to require application of the rule of lenity, irrespective of whether or not reasonable doubt or grievous ambiguity standards apply. Okay. And I think that's a great way of looking at it. They're still doing it. Um, Mike Byrne for $5 saying, "Did you see the head of Balenciaga's art department leads Ukraine's largest donation outfit that directly goes to Zelensky?" No, I did not. But that's not a oof, 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 oof. That's not surprising how much the pit of snakes is running around out there now. But yes, I did not know that. But yeah, are you surprised? Because I'm certainly not. But that's interesting. I'm have to look into that. I'll have to look into that. Thanks, Mike. Necromancer says possessing an unregistered machine gun may be seriously illegal, but is also seriously cool. Yes, it'd be pretty cool. Pope brackets, I will get to that in a second. We'll get to that in a second. Ammo's currency says the ATF should be decorating bridges, not writing illegal regulations. Like city planners. Yeah, just like urban planners. 100%. I agree. They should be helping decorate. Should be helping decorate a little bit. So so they get through it and they just keep chugging along here. They start pointing out the issues with the dissenting opinion. And guys, I know there's a lot here, but there is a ton to read through here. And they get through the rule making and procedure issues here, and they ultimately get down to let's see here. Okay, so we many commentators argue that the non-mechanical bump stocks contribute to firearm deaths, and the final rule is good public policy. We express no opinion on those arguments because it's not our job to determine the nation's public policy. And that's correct. Their job is to determine whether or not these laws are constitutional or not. That solemn responsibility lies with Congress. Our task is deciding cases and controversies, which requires us to apply the law as Congress has written it. In defining the term, Congress referred to the mechanism by which it triggers causes bullets to be fired. Policy judgments aside, they're bound to apply that definition. And in applying that definition, a semi-automatic rifle equipped with a non-mechanical bump stock is not a machine gun. Chevron likely has no role here either because the government waived it or because none does apply when criminal penalties are imposed. Finally, even if the statute were ambiguous, which it is not, the rule of lenity would require that we interpret the statute in Cargill's favor. As Justice Holmes, Oliver Wendell Holmes, I love how they quote him because he also said a lot of real sketchy stuff in his time. It is reasonable that a fair warning should be given to the world in language that the common world will understand of what the law intends to do if a certain line is passed. We cannot say the NFA and the GCA give fair warning that possession of a non-mechanical bump stock is a crime. And I think that's correct. Because by reading the definition of machine gun, it doesn't say, oh, by the way, that includes a non-mechanical bump stock. They're going to say, oh, well, actually, that's in a regulation somewhere. You have to be able to read the law and figure that out. The final rule promulgated by the ATF violates the Administrative Procedures Act. We therefore reverse the judgment of the district court and remand with instructions to enter judgment for Cargill. So in the Fifth Circuit, this is the law of the land. But, that this is going to go to the Supreme Court because this is definitely a split circuit thing, and this is going to be a big issue here, whether or not the ATF is going to get their nuts clipped. And then there's 20 pages of, there are some concurring judgments. They concur in part, and they're concurring in parts of the judgment here. All these judges like to do their little writings, like, I agree for these reasons, but my own reasons. And then there's going to be, where's the re section? Then there's a reing section here where there's a couple of judges who say, this isn't fair, all the kids are going to die. Oh, no. Oh, no. So Jim is saying none of this should matter because under the Bruin standard, all these underlying federal laws should be rule unconstitutional. That's true. But remember, this isn't a law. This is a federal agency interpretation. So the court hasn't even gotten to Bruin yet. But that would be a separate issue. And I 100% agree. 100% agree. Metal Matt says, I think my purpose in life is to be the next Waco. Well, I hope it turns out a little better because it didn't go so well the first time. Jacob Castro saying Palmetto has a great deal in AR parts kits. Yeah. D. Avail saying, well, actually selling non-functional bump stocks is a felony, Sean. Yes, it is. Jacob Castro saying the Constitution is still a thing. Yes. Yes, it is. Believe it or not, it's still hanging in there on life support. So it's hanging on by a thread. All right, what are we? There is a video here from Johnny over on Locals. I guess we'll fire this up, see what this one is. Let's get this open. Also, by the way, guys, if you guys do like everything here, you guys can join me over on Locals, potentiallycriminal.locals.com. I know last year there wasn't, I put some things up. This year I plan on doing a lot more with it. This year is going to be, I hope you guys like what I'm going to do this year. I got a lot of things I want to do. Got a lot of sites I want to set on, and getting more content on Locals is one of them. So if you guys want to, you guys can join me over there. It's a minimum $3 a month. That's kind of like the bottom end. So certainly, I think that certainly makes the value there. Also, if you guys want to, ever want to super chat, but you ever don't want to give it to, you don't want YouTube getting their 30% of that, because YouTube does take 30% of all super chats. Locals doesn't take as much. And if you want to, throw a couple of dollars there, certainly that's a way you can do it, and you can deprive YouTube of revenue. So something to think about. But anyways, we have, a couple pictures here. Also, Mema, I saw you put this up, man. I'm going to address this as a video for Locals, and we'll talk about that. But let's get to what this is here. This first one. These are supposed to be funny cartoons about the ATF.
Agent Richard Bazet here down at the ATF shooting range to show you criminals how we train. Bang! 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 Also, while I'm doing this, bang! I want to let you know that we know you didn't lose your guns in a boating accident. Bang! Bang! You don't even have a boat. Bang!
You suck, Dick. Why are you making us look bad with all this bad PR?
God damn it, I don't suck. My name's Richard.
Whatever, Dick. Let me show you how it's done. Fuck yeah. Got him. You're welcome, America.
Well, I guess since the FBI burned our range down, we're closing this episode a little early. So thanks for that, FBI. If you guys are liking our videos, make sure you click the like button. Also hit that subscribe button.
That's so wrong.
Leave any comments.
That's so wrong. Let's see what this one is. It's going to be a Waco. Why is this not working? Why is that? Why did that not work? Huh. What the heck? Oh, hold on here. This is. Hold on.
Things that you're saying about us. It's absolutely horrible. Look.
All right, we'll restart here.
Hello, perpetrators. Just a real quick message here from Special Agent Richard Bazet. Just want to let you guys know, if you see us having a post memorializing our fallen agents, the heroes that we had that died at Waco, stop leaving your nasty little comments on there. I read through them all. They're terrible. You guys should feel bad. You should be ashamed of yourself for the things that you're saying about us. It's absolutely horrible. Look, instead of going by comment, I'm going to have to respond to this generally because we have over 12,000 comments from you horrible people telling us what, how miserable we are and how we burned up kids and burned up women. Boo-hoo. Well, look, here's our position. We actually saved those kids and we saved those women because they were being harmed by a really terrible person. And if we hadn't shown up and burned them, they would still being harmed. So we saved them by burning them. You're welcome. You're welcome for the good job that we did. You're welcome for the good job that we always do. I don't understand what any of your guys' problem is with us. I really just don't get it. Find something else to do with your time. Leave our special agents alone. They're heroes. They're not murderers. They're heroes. They saved those kids. They saved those women. And you should be ashamed. And as always, stop buying stuff at firearmsunknown.com. If you want to find out about the tactics we used at Waco, keep doing that stuff. Keep buying over there, and you might learn something.
So, guys, haven't seen those before, but Firearms Unknown, that's pretty good stuff. I like that. I like that a lot. So, you guys were asking, current head of the ATF is at Waco. No, that was David Chipman. He was at Waco, but he was nominated, but he ended up getting shot down. His nomination got destroyed. So the current head of the ATF is Steve Dettelbach. He is a guy from Ohio, was involved here in Ohio for a while, was the Ohio Attorney General back in the day when we had a Democrat governor. But no, he is not. Steve Dettelbach was not at Waco. So that is not the issue there. Yeah, his got withdrawn, and then it was a different guy. The ATF head taking pictures of the burned bodies. That was Chipman and some of the other scumbags. So that was not that current ATF head. Yes, Patty, you're right. The head of the ATFs, his head is always vacant. Yes, always nothing or clinking around on there. Pope Racket is saying those are the short ones with 100 body. Okay, perfect. Oh. Anyways, I'm going to try to catch up on some of the things real quick here. That's a shame saying voting for a black guy, Hakeem Jeffries, when it doesn't matter, and a white woman when it does, actually seems pretty racist to me. Yes, it is. Just a little bit. Just a little bit. D Soul for $4.99. I think I covered this earlier. If I didn't, I apologize really very much. Capitol Hill Police work exclusively for Congress. J6 is Bolshevik thuggery. No lies detected. Trumper friend told me a week prior that something was going to go down. Yeah. Yep. And something did go down. Thanks, Ray Epps. Hope your 30 pieces of silver were worth it. Jim is saying, it blows my mind how all these are always talking about these militia groups and the Yahtzees. But if they really did exist, they would roll right over these cops. 100 operators could top. Yes. If they really thought things were happening the way they were happening, there would have been a very drastically different outcome. So, Jim is saying, why isn't someone just challenge the entire NFA, GCA, and Hughes Amendment? There is a guy, the CRS auto key card case down in Florida. Oh God, what's the guy? Matt LaRosiere was involved with it, was talking with Nick about it. I need to get in touch with him on Fudbusters to see if there's an update to it. They filed a motion attacking the entire thing under Bruin. I think the judge denied it, but we need to get an update on that case. So Luke is saying it all sounds like an infringement to me. 100% it is. J-Rock saying, are you on Locals? Yeah, I hope you just saw it. They're potentiallycriminal.locals.com. Jacob Castro is saying you cannot comply. That's the point. Yes, that's the job, is to trip you up and make it so you can't comply with all the rules at once. Mostly gluten for $5, saying, thank you for the super chat, by the way. Not to be rude, but let me know immediately when I have an extra hole in my AR lower. When I can. Yes, I'll let you know, sir. I'm sure the ATF will be happy to let you know. Thank you. Well, J-Rock saying Sean is a cheap date, $3. Hey, as long as you know your worth. Mike likes tacos. $3 kind of spendy, ain't it? Yes. And Michelle, you do a better job at sales than I do, considering I just I figured out how to do this for the year. Yes. Or you can do $30 and you get the entire year, meaning $30, you get 2 months free. So pay for 10 months, get 2 months free. So yes, thank you, Michelle, for plugging that. I really appreciate it. So trying to clear out all the start stuff here. Just make sure I got caught up to all you guys. Let me see. The auto key card guy got really screwed. He seems out of luck, but best wishes. That's the problem. When you're going forward, I mean, on stuff like that, it's tough. It's tough. And I think I don't know if he's gonna go to trial or what he's gonna do, but I need to talk with Matt because I know he was involved with it and see what happens. So Garrett Pace saying Michelle and her big brain doing math. Yep. Thank you, Michelle. Oh crap. Where are we now? Oh, so we're gonna watch this real quick. I apologize, guys. Is nobody getting domed? Okay. Somebody's gonna get domed in the head. You don't get to see it. And I'm sorry for that. I mean, I know we'd like to see some bad guy when he gets, when his switch gets flipped, but we can't see it. Allegan News says they're covering up the left bombing of pregnancy. It's not just bombings; they are terrorizing and attacking pregnancy resource centers. Yes, Jane's revenge, which is funny because the Jane Doe in Roe was, she wasn't raped; she was just a hoe and didn't want to have a baby. So, Garrett saying, "Did I get to the Mexico stuff next? Give me 1 minute; we'll get there. Give me 1 minute." So. Jim saying we could see it if this was Rumble. No, I can't see it if it's Rumble because I can't find it anywhere. Everywhere I've looked shows like up to the point of the shooting. So let's see here. Share screen. So yeah, I can't find it anywhere else. Everywhere shows it as a cutoff.
A crime alert tonight from Houston. There's new robber. Let's get to that. It happened around midnight. You can see the robber.
Obviously, this gentleman is here. He's here trying to show off everybody. Look at my new gun. Don't you guys like it? And in the meantime, he's saying, hey, do you guys want to sponsor me? Look, it's kind of like, it's like OnlyFans, but in real life. Would you guys like to give me a donation? And then you see there's like a donation on the floor, and other people are like, they're so shook and they're just amazed by it. They're on the floor. Everybody's just trying to trying to help him out. So he starts wandering around
there, and then the guy at the left is going to get up.
This guy happens to say, I have a gun too. Do you want to see what mine looks like? Now, it's a little rude because he does turn around and, points the gun at, he doesn't show the guy doesn't get to see the gun. That's kind of rude. I mean, like, if I'm going to show you my gun, say, hey, bro, check this out. Well, that's really rude. But he does, and well,
up
that is as far as the video has been released.
Demanding customers.
No, this is in Houston. And yes, that guy got poleaxed hard. There is an issue though. Apparently everybody left after the shooting, and the police don't know who the good guy is, and rightfully so. Once again, this good guy's smart because you know what he didn't do? He didn't talk to the cops, and the police are just saying, "Look, just come in and talk to us, bro. We want to know what's going on." Now, in reality, yes, is he 100% justified under the law? Yes. 100% justified under Texas law? Yes. Under common law? Yes. This is like the most like textbook wet dream, like pornographic, like anybody carrying concealed's like, I'm gonna get the jump on the bad guy. When he walks by, I'm gonna go like this is like the perfect setup. You know, it's like when you're a little kid and you're like, it's game 7 of the World Series, bottom of the ninth, 2 outs, full count, the bases are loaded, down by 3, here we go. Down by 4, here we go. Down by 3, here we go. Gotta hit the grand slam. And you're just like, he wins the World Series with a grand slam. You know, this is that type of situation. And yeah, this guy's like, fuck you, I ain't coming in, and I don't blame him. I'm not sure I would. I'd just be like, I did my thing and left. You're under no obligation to be involved. So, did I see Coleon on it? No, I did not see him talk about it. Great Loner saying, never look a guy in the face when you can shoot him in the back. Yes. Somebody said, Mike is saying, was that guy curing cancer? No, sadly not. Garrett Pace saying, you think he left the waiter a tip for cleaning up? Oh. Jim is saying, I'm going to go, it's easily possible he wasn't supposed to be carrying a gun. Very, very possible. But I'm going to incline more on the side of whatever he was doing was legal. He just doesn't want to get involved with the cops. And I think that's fairly fine. You don't want to be involved. I mean, think about it. Do you really want to be involved knowing, like, telling the cops, hey, I got a gun when they show up and they go like, get on the ground, get on the ground, blah, 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 and they shoot you or whatever? No, I'm getting the hell away from that. So, mostly Gluten saying, if only you worked for the government, you had the video. Yeah, see, that's why, Joe, I know you're not watching this because it's, you know, Shabbos and everything, and I hope you enjoy your day of rest. But see, I'm not a Fed. If I had a Fed, I would have had that and we would have been watching it and we could have watched all that ooey gooey goodness of that room getting that taqueria. You know, that guy's skull getting emptied out. Although, God, that would be like dangerous. Like, think about like if he shot, like, and then all that brain particles in the air and like landing in your Pico and stuff. You're like, well, this Pico tastes like prions now. Yum. So, are you really under no obligation to talk to the cops after a shooting? Hawk, you have the right to remain silent. You don't have to say a goddamn thing to anybody. Remember, you always have that right. But no, you have the right to get up and walk out. If you've done nothing wrong, I mean, even if you have done anything wrong, what are you expected to stand around? I mean, what law did he break? You are allowed to do things. But yeah, you're under no obligation. Now, yes, if your situation's kind of like a sketchy shooting, you running off seems a little sussy, sure. But in this case, no, guy's just boop. Although I'm sure he went like boop, boop, boop. And he probably put it back in his holster and like, no, take all this shit to go. And hope he didn't leave his food. Probably made sure he grabbed all his shit and left. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I'd be getting the fuck out of there. Like if I'm, you know, me in the future, Mrs. Martin are sitting at Applebee's and I'm cramming my face with a, you know, quesadilla burger, which is actually probably one of the better things they have on their menu, and cramming my face with that and a nice glass of unsweetened iced tea. And somebody comes in and I pull out the Glock and we dude shows up and he wants to get down and I oblige and we get down. We're getting in the car and taking off. And, you know, maybe as an attorney and as a, you know, officer of the court, I may engage with law enforcement, but I'm also getting a hold of an attorney and we're figuring out a game plan first. I'm not just going to wait around because that's just not a good idea. But I would tell you that's your own decision you have to make, and I would suggest you consult with legal counsel in your area. But generally speaking, no, you don't have to wait around. What make and model do you think he was using? I have no idea, Patty. Patty saying felons should have their gun rights back. Yeah, if you're no longer under any sort of probation, parole, or post-release control, yeah, if you fully squared up with the house, you should have your rights back. Jacob Castro says, my work here is done. Oh, that was the other part too. The guy had a toy gun. He got domed for having a toy gun. I forgot about that part. But yes, to quote the great band Alabama, if you're going to play in Texas, You got to have a real gun in your hand. You know, those airsoft slingers might be hot, but not to a SIG carrying man. Yeah. Yeah, that BB gun is hot, but not for a fully loaded man. Yep. So what if the guy does not want to go to police? What charges should he face? Well, he shouldn't face any charges. Once again, you're under no obligation to talk to the cops. So what have you done? You haven't obstructed justice. You haven't done anything. So once again, your Fifth Amendment. I ain't saying shit. I ain't interacting with you. Nothing wrong. That's fair. Garrett Pace says, shut yo fucking mouth. Yes. Shut yo fucking mouth. Plug no tie Bronca. Okay. Well, I don't know if Andrew Bronca covered this, but yeah. lawselfdefense.com/ I don't know, get hard or whatever he's doing, or American law courses. Also a good thing as well. Jim is saying, is there any obligation for someone to do anything when it's on video, clearly self-defense? No, you have no obligation, period. Now, do I think there's probably a good idea saying like, hey, I'm the good guy? Or, yeah, there might be times where that's necessary. But yeah, if you take off, you have the right to take off. Now, can that create problems for you? Sure. That's why I said consult with a legal professional in your area and figure out what you think might be your best course of action. It's going to be different for everybody. It's going to be different for everybody. A job well done says they are supposed to catch you. Yes. Don't take their fun away from them. Mike Byrne is saying, I thought you can't leave the scene of a crime if you're involved. Well, I mean, think about it. Let's say you shot that guy in the back of the head and all of his friends show up and they're getting ready to, like, they're going to come inside and kill you. Are you going to stick around? No, you're going to get the fuck out of there. There might be times where you have to leave. Now, granted, I would tell you should leave and seek the police immediately, like go running to the police station. But no, like, think about it. Like, let's say you're at the mall and some terrorists show up and start shooting up the food court. You don't have to like stick around in the aftermath. You can get waiting for like an IED to go off. Like, you can get the fuck out of there and deal with it later. So there might be times where leaving the area is prudent. There are going to be more than likely it's better for you to stick around because that way you can say, look, here's the crime scene. Those people witnessed it over there. That guy in the blue shirt, he picked up that guy's knife after he dropped it and I shot him. This guy kicked something around. This guy was filming it. This guy was egging it on. He knows these two people. You might want to be involved to point those things out, but sometimes you may have to leave because let's say it's like 40 people standing around after you drop somebody. You ain't got that many bullets. You know how many bullets you got? Ain't that many. And let's say they're all going to kill you. Well, then you probably should get out of there. But I would recommend you hauling ass to the police. Bye, Francis. I'm taking my food. Petty saying, I hope that Chippy Chongo is the best ever. DA is saying, what do you do if you're being faced with interrogation by feds and you literally did nothing wrong legally or by regulation? Do not talk to them. You say, I do not wish to talk to you. I want to speak with an attorney. I want my lawyer. I want a lawyer. I want an attorney. I'm not going to talk to you. I'm asserting my Fifth Amendment right to remain silent. Any number of ways you want to say it, but you make it unequivocal. You tell them, I'm not talking to you under the Fifth Amendment, and I wish to have an attorney present. I want my lawyer. That's what you do. You don't talk. Do not talk. That's the only advice I can give you. Do not talk. 420 saying switchy. Yeah, gotta get the switchy. Glock check. Yeah. Yeah, they checked him. Are you lacking? He apparently was lacking that night. So, yeah, don't be lacking, guys. Don't be lacking. Where is crap? Where's the pop out here? There we go. Yes, just don't say yes, Peter, you're Charles Forrest saying, "Did I hear Glock check?" Yes, you did, sir. Always hear Glock check. Now, if we were on Rumble, we could Glock check all together. AD saying, "Go to bed, Sean." Nah, I'm good. We're good here, man. Jacob Castro, as your attorney, I advise you to get a fast car and a gun. Yeah. Robert Lawrence saying they probably had his fingerprints and DNA over all the stuff he had there. Not necessarily. And here's the thing, they're not going to go fingerprint dusting all that stuff. But I know we talked about this last night with the Brian Koberger stuff. I'm holding this right now. And let's say you try to dust this for fingerprints. You're not guaranteed to get fingerprints off this. Why? There are multiple things that can affect that. Temperature differences, the actual thing you're holding, whether or not my fingers are actually leaving enough oil to produce to do that. There's a lot of reasons why you might not have fingerprints. Okay. So when the cops, like when people break in, you're like, "Oh, well, can you guys dust fingerprints?" They're like, "We're not gonna find anything. Or if we do, we're gonna find a bunch of your fingerprints." Okay. That's you can hold a firearm, you don't leave fingerprints. I've had guys where like they know he had the gun and they found the gun later in the weeds near him. No fingerprints on the gun, but he more than likely it was the gun he had. Same thing with DNA. DNA isn't always found on everything. Okay. A lot of times it is, but that doesn't mean it always is. There's, even here, depending on the situation, there might not be enough DNA for them to take and use. Also, for example, touch DNA. When you touch things, you can leave DNA at times, but you don't always. So it's not uncommon for weapons and items to have no DNA on them, even though that person clearly held it. Just something to think about. Wrestler Town says, "Just get out if you can. You never know if he's got buddies showing up or if he's the son of a senator or something." Yeah. Generally speaking, bad guys operate in groups, so you want to be careful that you don't run into more bad guys. Getting out might not be a bad idea. Zach is saying it was a high point. Oh my god, that would be hilarious if that was true. Garrett Pace saying, "Was it a fake gun?" Yes. Yes, yeah. He was he tried to, do that try to do that gangster life and ran into a real gangster. Mike Burns saying, "Call an ambulance, but not for me." Oh. So, Just Me says it's before the jury already. They will know bill it. Then the guy turns himself in through attorney. Yeah, maybe he never does. I mean, you don't have to. Paul Hurley saying people get confused because of hit and run laws. Yes. Yeah, and I think that's part of it. But also, people tend to think like if you're going to plug someone, yeah, you should probably stick around and explain why you did it. And overall, that's generally not a bad idea. If you're going to drop somebody, it's far better for you to, contact the cops and negotiate this all out versus them thinking you're a bad guy and they send the SWAT team after you. Harris Riley said, "I just had to clear my house. The fucking dog farted. It sounded like a door opening. Oh no." Check out Clint Smith. Oh, well, Clint Smith is great at Thunder Ranch. Yeah, he's great. He's great. Sometimes he gets a little like, goofy about stuff, but he's not bad. Jim is saying sometimes you need to leave, especially if you ventilated some pedos at Kenosha. Exactly. Exactly. D'Avel is saying, think about the mall terrorist attacks in Kenya where they take the mall over. Yeah. Gotta get out. Gotta get out. Pete Spine is just saying, don't say I just want a lawyer dog. Yes, don't say that. Apparently they think you mean a real dog who passed the bar. Andrew Peterson saying, so if pulled over and been drinking, can I say when I invoke my, well, it sounds like you're already drunk. I envoys my rights and request a lawyer before cops say anything to keep them from asking for roadside breath because they require questioning. I mean, yeah, but you're not going to get very far with that because if they can detect, alcohol on you, you're kind of toast anyway. But you have the right to deny roadside testing and you have the right to deny roadside breath testing. So the field sobriety test, you can deny those. You can refuse them. That's all things they use to build probable cause. Now, when it gets to the idea of using the actual breathalyzer machine at the station or consenting to a urine test or a blood draw, you're going to have to make the decision on your own there. I generally think that, if you refuse, it, helps you because you're not giving them the store. In Ohio, at least. Some states, that's a separate issue you have to be careful about. You should really consult an attorney where you live on that answer. Sean's jizz on the can, yeah. Peter is saying, or they don't check the right spots on the gun, like that New Mexico case with the pro skier. Certainly. Would it help if you tried CPR on the dude? I mean, why would you get involved with that? Are you some random dude you just shot and killed? I mean, do you have PPE? Number one, do you have PPE? Like, do you know if that guy's safe? Do you know what he's sick with? Do you really want to get involved with some bodily fluids? Ugh. No, none of that. Number one. Number two, once again, you start performing CPR and first aid, you are now like out of the fight should something happen. No. You do your thing. You do your thing. I don't recommend getting involved. So, Clinton is my grandpa. Jeez. You guys are job well done saying CPR. You just want to kiss him. Yes. Yes. Garrett Pace says, deny field sobriety, agree to be tested in the presence of your attorney. Your attorney knows to take their time getting there. Doesn't matter. They're not going to fuck around with that. If they think you're drunk, they will say, okay, come here to the breathalyzer machine. You'll refuse, and that's it. This whole thing here, I'll tell you, does not work. Number one. Number two, you call me at like 2:30 in the morning. Guess you do not want to know how much that's going to cost you, unless you are a very good client of mine. Whew. You got a band in your wallet because that's what it's going to cost for me to hop in the car. So just saying. So, ammo is currency for $5. Says Zombieland rules. Double tap. Yes, double tapping is always good. Davel saying $800 per hour. Get in the car, Sean. Yeah, I'd probably do it for 800, but it better be close. So, William saying, don't lie to us. We know you work for Hoagies are disgusting. Ugh. Mostly Gluten says, are you coming from the bar? No. Oh, all right. So let's get on to what's going on in Mexico, because it is getting very interesting in Mexico. As we talked about yesterday, El Chapo's son, the El Mousy, or Los Mouse, was arrested. And it's getting really spicy because the cartel and the government are going at it in Culiacan, out in the Sinaloa state, which is home to the Sinaloa cartel. So I guess somebody's got home field advantage. And here's how spicy it's getting. This is just a shot of things.
No mames. No mames, a la verga.
Yes, that bird. That is a minigun. Heavy stuff is getting employed. Think about that. That's in a city. That is in a city full of frickin' people. That is insane. Just think about that. Are they hurting other people? Are people getting hurt? Like, I mean, The Mexican, is that door gunner just, is he just like hosting down that whole neighborhood? You really got to be concerned about that. So. Oh, Mema's saying, I've been sat in locals all by myself. Oh, I'm sorry, man. But I'm going to answer your question probably after we're done here. So I'm going to get you though, brother. But yeah, it's somebody's asking, is the situation scary or normal? It's kind of like normal, but this is getting super serious. The cartels are actively going to go to war with the government here, and this may set the stage for a lot going forward. But yes, that's a lot of Burt going into a neighborhood. That's a lot of Burt. That is a lot of Burt. That is a lot of bullets raining down in a city somewhere. As they say in Spanish, los míos. That's a lot of firepower going down. That was an Apache. You would just hear like, and shit would be exploding everywhere. Welcome to the mid 2000s. Yeah. 3,000 rounds a minute. Yep. Burt. Patty Letter saying Iraq was full of people too. Yes, it was. Garrett Pace saying brap. Mike says those tracers have neighbors in between them. Yes, they do. Yes, if you notice, there were a couple times there were some little red lines going back and forth. So, Mystery Sniper saying, was that the Federales firing? Yes, that was the Federales firing from a helicopter. So, yes. So, yeah, it's like scenes from Iraq. It's like scenes from a war zone. Yep. If you video of the French army fighting in Mali or the Portuguese paratroopers that are doing UN peacekeeper stuff down in, sub-Saharan Africa. Yeah, it's crazy. Sheep hunter saying those are just bottle rockets. Yeah. So. Garrett Pace saying it always rains when you forget your umbrella. Yeah. So that is one of them. And there is another thing. And this one, oh God. This is this one is not in Sinaloa or Culiacan, but this is in Nuevo Laredo and Tamaulipas State. I don't know how you say it. I tried there. So this is one of a Mexican army convoy. Well, they don't have a good day. So as you can see, the traditional Mexican fighting vehicle, the Ford F-150, is being used. And here we go. These guys in green are the Mexican military, the ejector, the air ejecto, or whatever they call themselves. So far, that's not abnormal convoy activity, having vehicles run around. Remember what I said about people getting the hell out of Dodge? That guy in the red car is like, nope. As soon as it starts shooting. So that guy in the red car is like, I'm getting the fuck out of here. Look at that. Just whoop, 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 whoop. But yeah, here we go. Now it's not going well, and you can see everybody else hauling ass down the road, but yeah. That is yes, the cartels do have aircraft and weapons, but that was the Mexican government admitted that was them doing stuff. So so I was saying Jesus Christ is insane. Yeah, yeah, that's the problem. It's yeah, this is going on right in the middle of Sinaloa. No, this is in Tampa State. It's in Nuevo Laredo. It's another place, but this is like the Zetas and a couple other cartels. The problem is all the cartels now are getting ready to brawl with the government because now the Sinaloa cartel is doing it. They're the biggest and the baddest, but now it's a chance for everybody to get their shots in on the government. Also, if you guys notice, these guys had trucks and they're sitting in one spot. Like, why aren't they hopping in the trucks? Shooting back and getting the fuck out of there. Remember, that truck is a bullet magnet, but it's also mobile. That is their ability to escape the kill zone. But they're not. And also notice they are not laying down a ton of fire. They're taking a ton of fire. So they got to work on this. But they aren't. So, and Mike Burns says, yes, doors are not cover, and those are not armored trucks. So, yeah, it's I mean, that's a whole squad of army soldiers, and these cartel gunmen just don't give a fuck. I mean, it's getting bad, guys. It is getting really bad in Mexico. So yeah, they're just pinned down. They're just pinned down. They got to get the fuck out of there, and they aren't. And this is I know Tactical Wisdom covered it. The Ukrainian squad that got ambushed and miraculously nobody died in their ambush. That's about on par with this. Like, they got to get off the X. And these guys, from what I understand, these guys got Swiss cheese really bad later. They got Swiss cheese really, really bad later. And they tell us Sicario is just a movie. Sure. Yeah. Pike is saying their army training must consist of COD sessions. Here's the thing, though. As much as we'd like to talk shit about them, and even I'm sitting here saying there are proper ways to deal with an ambush, I ain't never been shot at. Like, I've been shot at. It's been by accident. But no, I've never sat there with a bunch of cartel gunmen literally trying to saw my car in half with 50 caliber rifles. So everybody's got, everybody's training is only as good as the quality of it. And this is just, they don't have good quality training, and it's easy to get locked up when people are trying to kill you. So yeah. Goalie saying, yeah, got to return fire and move. Yes, but easier said than done. Easier said than done. So yeah, they don't have a lead car. Well, they did have a car that went around them to initiate the rest of the route. They should have kept moving, and I don't know why they didn't keep moving. So says check the video I just put in locals. All right. Better not be a bottle in your ass. Oh, I did not. Oh, this one. Yes, I have this one as well up. Yes, I have this one as well up. Yeah, this happened from this year. It's a shootout with the Mexican cartel. Yeah, we'll cover this one. Yeah, I have this one up as well. This is another one that's going on that just happened this past summer. Registered Drex offense. God God, that's a good. That's. God, you guys are spicy. Oh my God. What are the odds of cartels still going after tourists a lot again? That would be a very bad idea for them. I know future conflicts. I didn't have the chance to get on with them, but if they started harming tourists, especially American tourists, that would be very dangerous. Because at that point, the authorization of use of military force, the AUMF, the thing that said America could go fuck up the Taliban and fuck up Al Qaeda right after September 11th. The US government is allowed to use force against them, but also terrorist groups engaged in future acts of terrorism, not just related to September 11th. Well, if you declare and like you go clear and present danger style and declare the cartels terrorist groups, which they are multinational terrorist groups at this point, these guys are on par with Al Qaeda. You have the president could send in JSOC rooting around in Sinaloa. They could be J-damming houses and haciendas, and he could send in military forces over the border into Mexico. So that is a dangerous thing about the AUMF. The AUMF is kind of like, that is the forever war right there. You just have to label somebody a terrorist and you can do whatever you want. So, no, if the cartels are smart, that is the thing they fear the most. They are terrified if they get labeled as a terrorist group, because then the gloves come off and everything happens. It's one thing, the DEA tries to arrest you. It's another thing when somebody's trying to hit your house with a Hellfire and drone strike you. So, Crying Shapes, I still rather live in Mexico than Canada. Yes. So. Mr. K says, reach out to the. Oh no, I know Scott. I know Scott, and I also know Watcher on the web. Watcher was actually here when we first started up, so I wasn't able to go on today. I was actually, they had sent me a link. I couldn't get good cell coverage where I was sitting at while I was waiting for in between court hearings. So no, I talk with those guys all the time. They're great people on there. Great people on there. Furby Slayer for $5. Thank you for the super chat. I appreciate it. Saying the CIA ATF trained Fed soldiers versus US SF trained cartel. The cartel's better training. Of course they do. The School of the Americas. Yeah, we made some hard mofos out there. Hard mofos. Slade is saying, not sure if you'd be interested in the Illinois House bill assault weapons ban saga. It's crazy. Yeah, they stripped an amusement park side bill to push it through the House at 1 a.m. Yeah, I heard about that. That's something I might cover coming up. Just probably not tonight because there's a couple more things we're going to cover. But yes, I've heard about that. It's awful, and I'm sorry you guys have to deal with that in Illinois. Such a beautiful state. So, Goalie says they were using the AUMF in Syria. They did. The AUMF is still being used to explain why U.S. forces are in Syria. Ammo's Currency saying, thank you for the super chat, by the way, saying, we won't get serious until the cartels go to PTA meetings. Jesus. Yes. Yes. Yeah, if you guys have never subscribed to these guys, hold on here. This is Future Conflict. If you guys have never listened to these guys or ever heard of them, give them a shout, give them a look. They are great to deal with. They do lives every Monday, Wednesday, Friday in the afternoons, usually at 1:00. But they cover all kinds of things. Like today, they were talking about Mexico and U.S. political issues. They have guys who are experienced in military things, foreign policy things, financial things. It's just really good stuff they cover. They covered Brazil in transition. They have a guy in Brazil, and they've been talking about what's going on with Lula there, what's going on with China. They have so much good stuff to talk about, and they are phenomenal to do. They're on here, they're on Rumble. Give them a shot. They are great to deal with. They are very, very knowledgeable guys. Very knowledgeable. Yeah, really just check out Joe Tulio. Yes. Yes. Joe at Tactical Wisdom, he's on there. He's great too. Darth Hideous is saying Ohio and Indiana about to be surrounded by stupid on all sides. Well, remember, West Virginia's got some banging gun laws, and so does Kentucky. So not too bad yet. So that's where we are with things. Oh, you want to see this? How things are getting in parts of Mexico? Yeah, we'll cover that real quick, and then we'll get to Harris. We'll get to the stuff you wanted to see. We want to talk about. Chrome tab. Oh, there we go. So, yeah, this is just an example of how spicy things are getting in Mexico. And the Zetas are part of that. And, the original Zetas were special forces guys who left the Mexican military. The Zetas now are more of, they become like the CJNG. There's all kinds of new groups out there now. So there's a guy with the heavy machine roll. Alligator out of control. Yeah, there we go. Yeah. Just where a pair of night vision would be really helpful, but I don't think he's got night vision. Okay. One of the 1040. We're Daka. Yeah, this seems like a great place to go on vacation, huh? So who wants to go on vacation? I still don't understand. Oh. So it's very interesting there. So yeah, Mexico's doing great, guys. Mexico's doing great. Garrett Pace saying it's Noche Vision. Noche Vision. Jay Bet saying all this because somebody's kid was arrested. Well, when your kid, when somebody's kid is, the most powerful criminal in the country, yeah, that tends to happen. Mostly gluten for $5 saying, if only we had a Second Amendment like the Mexican cartels have, I would have all the toys. Yes. And the number one supplier of the Mexican cartels is the United States government, because most of their weapons and equipment come from the Mexican government, and the U.S. government gives a lot of military aid and assistance to the Mexican government, who either receive guns from the U.S. or buy guns with money and funding. So yeah, isn't it kind of interesting? Yeah. So, as long as the Mayan ruins are safe, I don't think they're even close to that. So, okay, where's this thing at? Okay, Harris, we're gonna get to this shooting thing you sent me here because we're gonna do this. Where hey Harris, where did you send it? Because I'm looking and I don't see it, man. If you sent it, it didn't come in. So, And I know Jim, you sent it earlier, but I think I lost it. So let me. Oh, cool, Frog. Hey, how you doing, man? Good to see you here. So like South Dakota, permitless carry. Yep. That's the nice part about Ohio too, and a lot of states now. So it's always good news. I am trying to find it. Jim or Harris, if you guys are still here, do you have that link? Because I don't see it in my email. Ag, I know you were asking about the Paul brothers. I got to do that for them at a separate point because it's not just like wire fraud they likely have engaged in, but like, securities and exchange issues and also Federal Trade Commission issues. So we're gonna have to. They're gonna. I ain't forgot about them, but they need their own. They need their own thing. So where is it? Oh, here we go. Okay, I got it. Never mind. Actually, real quick, I gotta go pay the water bill, so we're gonna be back in 1 second.
System, the company store, the paradigm of absolute control. And that's why we're just out here doing simple things, pointing out that we're meant to be in nature and be natural. And this is where we find the source that God made to transcend the New World Order. And that's why they want to try to keep us out of it.
I'm angry. I've had enough of these people. They're a bunch of Christian murderers, scum. They're on giant death factories, keeping babies alive and selling their body parts. What more do you need to know about these people? I go out and face these scum. They literally crawl out from under rocks. They have green looking skin and they run around screaming, we love Satan, we wanna eat babies. I have them on video. Hillary's in the creepy weird sick stuff, man. She sleeps in the same room with that creepy weirdo woman whose mother wears a hood over her head. What the hell? That woman number one is ugly. Imagine how bad she smells, man. I'm told her and Obama just stink. Obama and Hillary both smell like sulfur. Literal vampire pot and the goblins are hobbling round.
All right, guys. Sorry, I had to go to the bathroom there, so that'd be quicker, but wasn't sure if it'd be long enough for.
We know we're under attack. We know it. We're breaking the conditioning. We're coming for you, globalist. Coming for you. Coming for you. We know what you're doing.
I just needed something to give me like 20, 30 seconds there. So, or this one's always a good one.
Oh, man.
Check him out, y'all. He having the time of his life.
And he really is living his best life out there. So, Darth is saying, did you have McCarthy in the 15th round? No, I did not. No, not Hail Flashcast, I know. Yes, we love our Somalis. Oh, they're so good. Oh, they're so sweet. So, yes. How dare you interrupt the song? Hey, I'm more important than the song. Cut off the song. Damn it, I was jamming. Well, it's Crane Shave for $3. Thank you for the super sticker. I appreciate it. Just start streaming from the can like mindset. No. Lofty's a Fed. I don't think Lofty's a Fed. I mean, I guess I'm just going to say this. I don't think Lofty did anything wrong. That whole thing last week was ridiculous. But no, Lofty didn't. Lofty was a good boy. He didn't do anything wrong there. That's as far as the drama I'll get into. But Lofty was a good boy. PD saying, do you know anything about the USCCA insurance? I don't know if it's the best out there, but you really need to look into it and do your own evaluations on it. I know that there's CCW Safe. I know there's like Texas Law Shield or some other ones out there. So something to think about. I don't know what's going to be best for you. I've watched their commercials though, and some of the people they've backed, like the one time there's this hillbilly down in Florida, is like, they were stealing my neighbor's car, so I pulled out my gun on them. And they had a tow truck. And it's like, okay, you live in a trailer park, bro. They were repoing it, and you pulled out a gun on some repo men. Like, the fact they defended that's a little ridiculous because that was completely stupid. But I don't know. USCCA seems kind of gimmicky to me, but that's for you to decide. I would just find out, do they pay for an attorney up front? Do they give you money or do they reimburse you afterwards? There is, that's where certain ones provide the money up front and they start paying. Like CCW Safe, I think, is a little different. There's a couple different other ones out there. You should talk about them. I forget which one Bronca recommends, but I think, he gives some good advice on those and, lets you go from there. So just something to think about. But I can't make a real recommendation for you. Someone thinks highly of themselves. Well, my mom says I'm a catch. So, I mean, there. How about that? Yeah. Ammo saying Lofty's a fag, but not a fad. Yeah. Islamic Flash. Yeah. Also, he promotes CCW Safe. Yeah. And yeah, apparently UCCA has refused to cover people, and that's an issue. And UCCA, I've heard this issue that, so. Yeah, and like I said, I would listen to Bronca. I think he gives really good recommendations. I think Tim Fudd Kennedy also has fuck Tim Kennedy. I saw that shit. Fuck you, Tim. I don't give a shit what you've done. The fact you may have sworn to defend the Constitution does not mean you comprehend that which you defend. And that is a common thing. I've told that to veterans before. Great, you defended the Constitution. Do you understand what you defended? No. Okay, so that doesn't matter. You're repping a company and you don't understand the products. Fine. That doesn't, that doesn't give you any extra weight. Repo men are stealing the car. No, they're not. You didn't pay. It's not yours anymore. Job well done says, tell your mom I said hi. Okay. I will, I'll let her know. Did they defend the Constitution, though? Well, they were out there in front of it, so yeah, they kind of did. So, all right. Yeah, I'm not going to get into the rest of that stuff with Lofty and Fuentes and all that. I mean, if you guys want to, Kino Casino takes care of all that. So, where were we at? Oh, covering this Atlanta armed video thing. Okay, the Atlanta apartment thing here. Okay. Okay. Okay, so let me see here. This one's from Colio Noir. I guess we'll watch this. I hope he doesn't strike me, bro. Attorney to attorney, player to player, pimp to pimp. You know, come on. Hopefully we can work on this here. Don't copy strike me, bro. Salty Ball says, Sean, tell my mom I said hi. She's a hoe. I assume everyone knows her. I'll just, hey, I'll go up to every hoe I'm dealing with. Hey, you know Salty Balls? He says hi. Tweety saying, great stream. Tell my mom that you said hi. Oh, thank you. I appreciate it. And if you guys really start telling your moms, it'll be like, who the fuck is this? All right, but let's get to this apartment shooting. I have not seen this. Apparently, it's good. Apparently, you know, something it's there's a get down, which is always great to see. All right. All right, so let's listen to this, see what we got.
Get ambushed on camera.
I really think that they were trying to kill me.
These would-be robbers in Atlanta thought that they had the right one, but little did the alleged criminals know their victims were packing.
The gun is the equalizer. You got two women walking in a stairwell case.
Colleen, I don't care. Let's get to
Oh
wait, hold on.
Us walking up.
Wait, it's on the shade room? All right, well, let's see if we can find that instead. Let's see if we can find this shit on our own. Let's see here. You know what? It's not worth it. We're just gonna keep going from here. We're just gonna
got out their car and started walking towards the door too.
The ring footage has gone viral. It was around 9 p.m. You can see the two people with masks skulk up the steps of the apartment complex, then out of view in the Mechanicsville section of.
Those are like some skinny legged, like, are those chicks or like little femboys? I mean, really, look at that. Look at that. Like, who the hell is that? Trying to like sneak up on people. Like, who the hell are these guys? Like, look at them. They don't look that scary. As I say, they got to be women.
Then out of view in the Mechanicsville section of Atlanta. Alexander says that she and her friend were not far behind them.
So they masks kind of like turned a little bit. So I'm like, okay, hold on. So I'm like, where did them girls go? Who are them? Who are they? Like, so that's why I had looked back, like going up. Like, I didn't hear no doors open. It was quiet because we the only ones out there.
Wow,
So
that's good on her part, knowing like, hey, I'm walking around and I don't hear these people going anywhere. Woo. Girlfriend here switched on. She's about this life. She ain't afraid to throw down, it sounds like. Good for her.
Around, like, I don't know, where did they go? They didn't go downstairs, they went up.
So the interesting thing about this is some people would see this video and think, man, that gun saved her. And to some degree it did, but it really didn't. Her situation.
Yeah, and I haven't seen this yet. Yeah, her situational awareness. She knew it was about to pop off, so she got ready mentally.
Awareness.
You can see Alexander in the black hoodie. She quickly turns around. And if you zoom in, she had her 9mm pistol in hand.
Oh, baby girl was ready to play. Oh, that's nice. And they don't see it. Oh, God. This woman knows how to rock. Yeah, she playing for keeps. Good for her. Good for her. You know, she's ready to get down.
Loaded and ready.
We got to my friend's door, but my friend was walking faster than me. So I started speeding up to walk like, you know, because I felt something.
Now, as I kind of dug into this story a little bit more and read some comments and things like that.
Sorry, brother.
There's some murmur.
Don't care.
I heard, because it was so quiet, I heard them stomping down the stairs. That's how quiet it was. It sounded like they was stomping, like jumping down the stairs. That's why I screamed like, I said.
She says that the woman in the green hoodie running towards her also had a gun.
When she came running, she pointed her gun at me and I just started shooting.
The two
Damn.
suspects then made a beeline back down the stairs.
When I started shooting, she shot, but I guess I hit her, and that's when she was stumbling to get back up and try to shoot from behind.
So I want you to pay attention to something. I want you to try to count the number of gunshots you actually hear in this video. And what you'll realize is, think
you from another Ring camera.
Do you know where you shot her? I saw her kind of stumbling down the steps.
Yes, I believe it was in her left leg. The way that they ran up on me, I really think that they were trying to kill me.
And that's another thing that I want to point out is this idea of shoot him in the leg, shoot him in the leg. You don't have to shoot.
Xander says shot her. She's now facing a number of charges, including felony aggravated assault, armed robbery, and firearms charges.
Not a good idea, girlfriend. You're in trouble now.
You don't know D'Amica Malcolm's
I don't know them.
And she's got a limp now, too, so that's not good either. And she got a bullet wound. But at least she ain't dead. So, whoo-wee. Man, she meant business. Gregory Manosoff, I had no idea Sean was still streaming. I don't know, man. I got my second wind earlier. I'm just chugging along, dude. It's been an early day, and I'm just whooping ass. So I don't know. Mema says, "Fuck having to live like that." You know, brother, I'll tell you this much: when I'm not in court, if I have the opportunity, like if I'm out and about, there's a very good chance I'm going about healed myself. You know, I carry a lot, about everywhere I can. The only problem is during like the workday, I generally don't because I don't want to risk taking a gun into court like an idiot, because that'd be bad. And no, just because you're an attorney doesn't mean I can walk up to like the little lockers the police have and they'll let me put my gun in there. That'd be really cool, but that don't happen. So, I mean, you know, it's not just because they live in a shitty neighborhood. It's a lot of places I'd be like that too. So, these people have Ring cameras in their apartment, must be expecting something. Not really. I mean, think about it. It's easier than having a, you know, peephole. So I can sit there on my couch and look at it. It's just an easier, better way. It's safer. Critical's like, she been hit with a few shells and now she walk with the limp. Yep, just like Fitty. So. Keep going. I'm stuck at work. Maybe for a little while longer. In these circumstances, why don't they charge them with attempted murder, the robbers? I mean, it sounded like she got charged with a lot. I'm not sure why they didn't. Because, you know, it all depends on their statutes. Because if she was just trying to rob and then she used the gun, well, it's a felonious assault. It's a felony assault instead of intentionally trying to murder. I mean, usually with attempted murder, it's got to be clear you're trying to kill that person. So that's why. Necromancer saying, have you tried using the magic word? There are a lot of magic words, and I'm not I don't know. Not really feeling the magic words tonight. We're gonna be good boys tonight. I mean, we might let Terry say the magic words, though. We'll let him do the magic words.
The CIA niggers glow in the dark. You can see them if you're driving. You just run them over. That's what you do.
We'll let him use the magic words. But I live in the land, that Sir Mars saying, but I live in Cleveland. That place sucks. I don't live in Cleveland. I live outside of Cleveland. Jeez. The parts of Cleveland I'd want to live in, I can't afford. So no, I don't live in Cleveland. I live I live like 15 miles from Cleveland, but it's a straight shot into town. Actually, it's not 15 miles. It's like 10 miles. But yeah, it's not bad. Get next clip of Richard saying it. Salty Balls, send me an email if you got something going on. Send me your send it in. I'd be happy to talk to you about it. So Tweety saying I was born in Shaker Heights. Is that in Cleveland? It's kind of like there, yeah, but it's still not bad. Strongsville? No, that's a nice place to go. That's a safe place. That's a safe place. That's way out in the suburbs. So where are we? What else is there happening we're gonna cover? Sorry, guys, we're trying to clean up my thing here. Oh, by the way, I didn't get a chance to cover this. I saw this earlier and I didn't have it up. Going back to Janteenth. You know what I see right there? People scared the fucking bosses showed up. Your congressmen, your people in government, they should fucking look like this all the goddamn time. It's hard to take somebody's money when you look. It's hard to be a corrupt piece of shit when you look like this all the time. So, just something to think about. Alpha Fox, I did get your thing about Aaron Dean. That is interesting. That might be a separate video to talk about here because, yeah, that is very interesting. That is very interesting. So let's see here. What do we got? Sorry, trying to catch up here, guys. So much shit from earlier when I clicked around. Jeez. Oh, this is where are you guys at right now? Dead Russians. Well, there's always dead Russians, but hey, you know what? I hate to say this, but the Russians are going to win in Ukraine. The Ukrainians cannot keep going. They are bleeding men and resources. We're throwing in stopgap armored vehicles. It's only a matter of time. So, oh boy, Sean getting Epstein. No, I'm still here. J-Bet saying, I hope things will change. Great hope, although I really don't trust McCarthy. You don't trust McCarthy. You trust the fact that Getz and all these other people have made deals and demands that he's had to acquiesce to. So, does Sean have dirt on Hillary? No, I do not. I have no information leading to the rest of Hillary Clinton. I definitely do not. Says they're bleeding the Russians dry. That's true. But the Russians have a little more blood than the Ukrainians do, so I don't think it's going to work out for them. So there is one more thing. I thought this was interesting. I got this from my, this here is, yeah. Oh, Sean is the new top G. I don't know. I think the real top G is going to get out. I think it's going to work out for him at the end of the day. So, I think Andrew Tate's been getting screwed with. So, good luck to the top G out there. I guess we'll end on this tonight. It's been 3 hours 15 minutes. Wow. You guys are awesome for sticking around. The law license of Alex Jones' attorney in the Connecticut case. Norm Pattis. This is the guy who, unlike the guys in Texas who sucked, this is the guy who went toe-to-toe with the judge and actually did a really good job of helping Alex Jones in his case. Which was absolute bullshit, by the way. Fuck all the Sandy Hook plaintiffs. Fuck that crying Fed. Oh, they made fun of me. Fuck all of you. Fuck your lawsuit. Alex Jones should be protected by the First Amendment. This was all absolute fucking bullshit. So apparently a Connecticut judge, I don't know if she can suspend his license, but she can sanction him, but maybe they can in Connecticut. Who knows? Some of those eastern states are corrupt as shit. For releasing court documents. Apparently, he released 2 years of Jones' text messages and the medical records of some of the Sandy Hook families and other confidential discovery items. Okay, well, some of that you can't just, after your case is over, you can't just dump out there. Yes, as an attorney, you have to handle discovery of sensitive materials. Even in a criminal case, if I have a criminal case and I'm representing one of the guys I have right now, could I come out and publish all the discovery? Most of it, like medical records, stuff like that, I have to protect. There's certain things I'm going to have an obligation to keep confidential, but a lot of things I could. So I have to be careful. Otherwise, our civil system, which discovery of sensitive information is customary and routine, would collapse. And that is a big deal. And if he did it, I'd like to know, but I'm not necessarily trusting this judge, because if it's this bitch of a judge has been handling the case, honey, I don't fucking trust you to be impartial. So she didn't believe that Patterson inadvertently released it and he prevailed. She's claiming he prevailed to provide the minimal amount of attention in doing it, which I think is bullshit. So whatever. So despite his license suspension, Pattis is currently on the legal team representing Joe Biggs, one of the leaders of the Proud Boys, for seditious conspiracy charges in D.C. Pattis alerted the judge saying that he had to, and here's the thing, when you get suspended or sanctioned, you generally have to alert the other judges you're dealing with, and then they have the right to do what they want to do appropriately. So right now he's appealing the suspension and would continue representing Joe Biggs. Also, good luck, Joe Biggs. Hope you beat this shit. Pattis isn't going to make arguments today, and that would have been today, Friday, while he files his appeal and researches whether he could practice law in Washington despite being suspended in Connecticut. And now that can actually happen, because typically the jurisdictions have to suspend you for that jurisdiction. So until they do it, he should probably be allowed to practice. But once again, this is just more bullshit attacking Alex Jones for being the bad man and people going after him. And once again, this is, you may defend Alex Jones, you're going to pay for it. So. Yes, absolute bullshit. Absolute bullshit. Alex Jones' lawyer is a hero? Yes, 100%. Yeah, and Gully, you're right. The real misdeed Norm Pattis did was defending Alex Jones. He had the fact he had the temerity to represent this man is why he's being punished. And I don't know if Robert Barnes knows about this one, but hopefully he does. If he doesn't, I'll get word to him about this whole thing, because, this should be getting covered and really should be put out on blast. I mean, I'm not Viva and Barnes, but I'm doing my part. So, Harris saying, I think he probably thought he was going to get suspended, so he said, fuck it. No, because if he really did do all that shit, that's not a good look. Because later on, if you try to handle cases, other sides are not going to give you the confidential discovery if they think you're a fucking scumbag. So, no, I don't. That would be a horrible look to do. Bad look. Could the suspension be to throw the Biggs case? It could be. I mean, I don't know if that judge knew about it, but maybe. So, Fair and Balanced saying McCarthy just won Speaker of the House. Hey, Farron, how you doing? Hope you're doing well. I haven't seen you in a while, so we'll have to work on that. We'll have to run into each other at some point here coming up. Just covered it live. Yeah, we saw it a little bit. We saw that, the counts being done. Yep. Hopefully, like I said, hopefully all those things that were exacted are going to be used to hold his feet to the fire. Hopefully all those concessions are still used. Brandon, 100%, but I am not going to show that one because you are not lying. So, Barnes has been busy lately, yes. Paul Harley says, I think this is why Barnes was dark for yesterday and today. I hope so. I hope I can see Barnes getting his feet into this, whooping some ass. Mike Burns says, did you see Jordan Peterson's forced to undergo re-education to save his license? I am surprised that hasn't happened sooner from up in Canada. I am surprised we got to 2023 with that. I mean, really, when we were back in 2016, 17, surprised it didn't happen then. So, yeah. So. All right. So, that is it for tonight, guys. I didn't get to the power station thing. I wanted to. We're out of time. I'm just done for the night. I can't keep going. So Furby Slayers, JBP got exactly what he asked for. He may have, but I got to do a little more on that, looking into it. So Peo saying no, keep going. I can't. I'm tired, guys. It's been a long day. It's almost 2:30. It's 2:30 here. We believe in you. Don't go. It's like I'm done. The short man bad. It's not over till you fall asleep in the chair. Hey, when I fall asleep in the chair, I rally back, but we're done. If I fall asleep now, it's over. So, all right, everybody, that is it for tonight. Thank you for everybody sticking around. Everybody's been here. Like, share, subscribe. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. If you're on locals, guys, thanks for being here. Facebook, Twitter. If you commented, thank you so much. I appreciate everybody here tonight. Also, any of the super chats. All of you guys, thank you so very much. I wanted to say Garrett Pace says, I'm going to college next semester. I forgot about this. Congratulations, Garrett. Hope it's well. Hope you enjoy it. And, good luck. So that is it for me tonight, guys. I will see you around. We'll get some more stuff out coming up. And, yeah. Oh, Mike, get the fuck out, you losers. Yep. You can't stay here, guys. If you guys want to, on locals, the chat's still open. I'll leave it open for you guys to go in there and fuck around. Please, no bottled assholes. That's all I ask. And I'll see you guys later. Good night, everybody.